Hey, good morning, everybody. I know that this was supposed to be a debate day today. We had worked out with Nephilimfree that he was going to debate Rufus on human chromosome number 2 and chimpanzee and human genomes and all this other stuff. But obviously, like usual, there's complications. Not a big surprise. I mean, when you're working with Nephi, trying to get a debate with him historically has been completely impossible. I mean, I don't think there's been a single instance of somebody trying to arrange a debate with him and not having huge issues. I mean, this goes back to the days of Dawn Exodus. Nephi does not know how to work with people, and he's always thinking the worst. He's paranoid. I mean, literally paranoid. He thinks that people are out to get him, calling people liars, and I wanted to show you guys just how confused Nephi really is. And again, I would like to see this eventually happen. I mean, this is not, giving up on Nephi. I would like to see this debate happen, but I have to go at least explain to you guys what's been going on, because we were supposed to have a debate today at this time. And of course, that's not going to happen. Sorry. While I'm doing that, let me look at the live feed, make sure people are going to hear me. Real quick, I am not running it like I'm normally do, and I may drop out for like 6 seconds at a time. That happens. Just my system's caching to my hard drive, and sometimes it doesn't work. So if you can't hear me or I just seem to fade out, it's because the way I'm running it right now. So anyways, I got Rufus in here, and before I show you guys this, Rufus, my friend, buddy.
Yes.
How are you?
Yeah,
I've missed you.
How are you? Oh, I miss you too, Pumpkin.
Yeah, I know. Rufus actually paid a visit to me. We were hanging out, man. It was awesome.
Yeah,
we were enjoying. We had some scotch, and had I been smoking, I would have a cigar, but I quit smoking.
Yeah. Is my face any better?
Yeah, no, you look great, man. You look great.
Yeah,
you don't have that. You don't have that puffy. What's it called? When you what were you on? Prednisone.
I'm still on steroids.
Yeah. So I mean,
yeah, prednisone.
Yeah, that definitely makes you puffy. But no, you look great. You look great. Let me real quick actually put this on the out there so people can actually get the link. And give me 1 second here, guys, and then I'll screen share in a second what I was talking about. So, well, what did you want before I do that? What did you want to have the debate on? Because give them the story real quick. Because you contacted me, you wanted to have a debate with Nephi, and I was going to be the ones that arrange it and moderate and have my channel on the Great Debate Community channel. What did you want to see happen?
Oh, I want to debate anything to do with human chimpanzee genetics, human chromosome 2, pretty much anything to do with Jeff Tompkins, really. And Nephi, I forget how he actually took the bait, but he did, and now it turns out that he doesn't really want to debate that, which is fine. I mean, the way I see this thing is just that we couldn't agree on topics, and therefore we don't debate. I don't know why he had to go and make so much drama over the whole topics thing. There's no dishonor in just saying, look, we couldn't agree on topics and let's not debate. That's fine with me. Yeah,
that's the righteous thing to do. Somebody says my mic is statically, but I think Nephi, I think Rufus hears me fine, and I think other people do as well. It could be just
tiny.
Okay. So 1 second here. Let me post a link here. Okay, so let me screen share this, because I had contacted him until the dog settled in. And let me show you the very first thing here. 1 second. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get the video. Okay, so let me screen share. And since he's, he was showing the Skype conversation, I guess he's okay with me showing the actual Skype conversation, because he made it public, right? He made our conversation public, which is something that I'm highly against. But since since Nephilim did make this all public, I'm fine with it, because he did that first. But let me show you real quick on his video, because he had 2 videos that came out about me, right? And can you guys see this? He had the Steve McRae, you bumbled, and Steve McRae, you bumbled again, where he literally spent 15 minutes saying something he could have said in like literally a minute, and something that could have been resolved just by messaging me and going, hey, Steve, can we kind of suss this out a little bit more? Yeah, great. I'm more than willing to work with somebody. But can you see this, what I'm showing you? Or do I need to make it bigger? Can you see it? Rufus, can you hear me?
Can't really read it, but I can see it.
You can't see it?
Yeah, I'm muting when the dogs are barking. So.
Oh, okay. Okay, so down here, C. Brown says Nephilim. Who is the other guy besides Ruhif that Steve wants you to debate? Nephilimfree says, let me blow this up really large here for you guys. This was 9 hours ago. 9 hours ago. Let me blow this up so it's might be easier to see here. One more time. What does this say right there? Can you read that? Shit. That's too big. Did I? Where am I at here? Oh, I'm gonna go up. Okay. Oh, better have. You should be able to read it now for sure. I got a huge, but no, where the hell is
it's massive. To the right, I guess.
Oh, I see.
I see. No, left.
Oh. No, it's to the right.
No.
To the right, to the right, to the left. I think I made it too large.
You've got two windows open. That's the problem, I think.
Well, I got two monitors. I don't know how to just show one. Well, I don't know how to show one. I want two because I use one for a monitor and one for whatever's going out. Okay, let me see if I can make this smaller. There we go. Now I can see the comment. Okay. What does this say right here? He says, Nephilim, who's the other guy besides Ruhif that Steve wants you to debate? What does he say right here?
Steve did not say.
Steve did not say 9 hours ago. This is our actual conversation. And yeah, I know you can see it, but let me move it over here so I can make it larger. The first thing I said to Nephilimfree, and this was on Tuesday, I have Ruhif and Alex Rubenstahl trying to get a debate with you. Both want an informal debate of sorts, like one-on-one, but not sure exactly what Ruhif was going for, but I forgot. He messaged me a second. Right? I actually say Alex Rubenstahl. He says, please give me the link to this person. Oh, gosh darn it. Oh, to their YouTube channels. I said, Alex, I don't think has one. And I asked him, he doesn't. Ruhif does, Sec. I like to know a wee bit about something I'm debating. I say, if that's a fair request, I can give you Alex's Facebook. Okay, and I give him his Facebook. He doesn't have a YouTube channel? No. And I said, Ruhif wants to debate human chromosome number 2. He says, or HC2. H2C? What is that? A fossil? Oh, God. Yeah, well, right. I mean, I'm like, okay, you don't know what HC2 is. Okay.
It's clearly up with the topic here.
But I mean, do you agree that when he said Steve did not say, the first thing I did on Tuesday was I told who it was and I gave him the Facebook page.
Yep.
I mean,
you can see my son
was stunned when I read that. I was like, Nephi, are you high? But of course, what does C. Brown get out of it? C. Brown's like, let me show you what C. Brown said real quick, because I thought this was funny as hell. He says, wow, he wants to hit you with a blind assault and keep you off guard. And I agree. They want to specialize this debate mainly on HC2 and speak of the human-chimp similarity. Well, that's what the topic was supposed to be. And I didn't blindside him. I gave him the guy's Facebook page. And I even said human chromosome number 2, but I think he's flexible. Okay, you remember Ruhif? And he said, I would be willing to discuss it, but I don't want to debate only that. I don't see usefulness in limited debate in one small subject when evolution is such a broad subject. I disagree fully with Nephi on that. I think that if you have such a broad subject, you can gish gallop, and I like these debates.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you agree too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I asked him on a post this morning, you know, what do you actually want to debate? It's no point me debating subjects that I'm not familiar with. I'll just sit there and go, no, I've got no idea. Like, next topic, please.
Well, and that's exactly. If it's not something in your wheelhouse, why are you really wanting to go in there? Especially because when Nephi gish gallops, he brings up stuff you probably have never seen.
Oh, yeah.
Because you have to kind of like
close that window. Press play, quick.
Oh, what am I doing here?
I'm just moving it off that fucking screenshot.
Oh, sorry. I just want to get to the. I don't care about the screenshot. I just want to get to the live feed so I can check the. There we go. Okay, so is that cool? That's not showing you big blue eyes there. At least I can read the chat on this one, and I know you guys should be able to see the chat too. So, okay, so let me go back to the Skype. Okay, so is this too small? Can you still read this?
Barely.
Well, I just I don't want to blow up
That's
too
all right.
much because then the other one gets messed up. But basically,
Nice call, Anna.
it says he's in Aussie land. I said, you know, he wants to do it 2 a.m. Oh, by the way, well, this isn't our conversation. So he says, I say, I am willing. I am sure he is willing to discuss many other things. How about chimp and human genetic comparisons? And he says, I would have a free day on it. I would have to be on a free day. Wait, how does this? I would have to be free on a day I'm off from work to do it. Since you have some vids on that, and that means he has some vids on the human genome comparison. He says, perhaps I can soon. I will let you know far in advance as I can when I would be free to do it, and we will see if he's able to do it on that day. Okay, so I started with HC2, and I brought up how about human chimp chromosome genetic comparisons. He didn't balk at this. He just said, I'll have to be free on a day from work to do it. And then he has 2 videos out there saying that this is not, you know, what he said. And by the way, yeah, if I got analog static, it's because I am running on an analog thing temporarily. Sorry, I could try to fix it while I could probably maybe switch it over, but I had it on non-analog. It didn't work. So why don't you talk for a second? Let me see if I can change it to the other one.
Oh, me. I guess I've had a couple of interactions with Nephi over the last year or two. A couple of them are pretty funny. Like I've been booted twice out of 2 hangouts of his when he made stupid mistakes. There was a funny one about a year ago. I think it was I got to find a link. Hold on. It was McGraw Hill. Hang on. There you go. I'll put this in the chat. And if you can screen share me, that'd be lovely. All right, so where is it? There it is. Present me, sorry. All right, can everyone see the link out there? So it's McGraw Hill Education. And he went through this entire paragraph here because his big claim is that proteins can't evolve. And that even a single amino acid change to a protein is highly destructive and would kill the organism. And therefore, because 80% of proteins between chimps and humans are different, therefore we can't be related. Can you mute Steve? Who wants Steve to mute? I want Steve to mute. That's better. All right, so Nephi read this line here. Substitution mutations merely replace one base with another, and because the genetic code is redundant, some substitutions will have no effect at all. And what he took that to mean was, given that some will have no effect, the majority have a huge effect and are catastrophic. And he started talking about how there are multiple copies of genes in the genome, which is true, but that's what he thinks redundancy in the genetic code is. And I tried to explain to him, no, the redundant genetic code is the redundancy in the codon table. And even challenged him to like Google, you know, genetic code. Oops.
You're talking the fact that for given amino acids, you can have multiple codons that code for it. Right?
Yeah, that's exactly what it says. Okay. And even the page, the sentence next. For example, the substitution of a uracil for a cytosine in the codon CCU will have no effect on the protein because both CCU and CCC code for proline. Yeah, he's basically doesn't know what the codon table is. Well, no, he must. He must know what it is, but has just really badly interpreted this these sentences here about how amino acids change the protein and therefore they have a almost 99% have a deleterious effect, which is obviously crap.
So he was maintaining, and I might have a little.
Yeah, that sounded bad.
Is it bad? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back. Yeah.
No, how bad is it?
Oh, it's fine now.
Okay.
It sounded terrible a minute ago.
Okay. So I'm just have to run it like this. So, he basically doesn't have the foundation, I think, to understand when he reads this stuff, right? So He may know now what a codon table is, but if you still asked him what, I mean, for example, here it says, you know, like you talk about the stop codon. Would he know what that means? Do you think he knows what a stop codon is?
I think he must. I don't know if I'm projecting, but I just can't imagine not knowing what it is and having any sort of opinion on the topic. Like he has read this page, right? So he must know something about it, hopefully. Daisy Boo. But yeah, he just seems to have no idea and really badly misinterpreted that line. I mean, it's clearly about the redundancy in the codon table, and he just tried to suit it to his means of how specific the protein sequences are, and how a single amino acid change will, you know, break the protein. And
which doesn't make any sense, because we've actually shown him before, and I know others have shown him. I mean, I can list a dozen people that have shown Nephi that if you do a single substitution for amino acid, and it's a similar type of amino acid, there's actually a chart that shows, you know, look at it, this is polar, this is non-polar, this is, you know, similar enough. And if it's near the end of the amino acid chain, the end of the peptide or protein chain, it doesn't really have it may not have a big effect, right? As I understand it, it depends on the location of the amino acid and the amino acid that's being substituted, but it doesn't have to mean it's a totally detrimental effect. It can be, right? But
it can be,
I mean, I think it's cytochrome A, you know, is like 48% similar across species. Cytochrome C is about 48% similar across species, and yet it does the same thing for apoptosis and does the same thing for what is it, complex 4 in the ETC. So it's similar, even though it has a lot of different amino acid substitutions. I'm not Ronnie. Nephi would think that would actually kill, you know, what's the difference, right?
Yeah, we could get Ronnie in here as well, because he made a video on Chromosome 2. Was it yesterday, I think? Which he just managed to fuck everything up again. It's like he doesn't listen to what we tell him, or you know, doesn't read the post that I make to him. Yet he's still looked up to as some, I don't know, scientist.
Well,
which I find quite hilarious.
Well, I mean, this is again, I literally have come to the conclusion that people like Nephilimfree and Ronnie and G-Man and the rest of the Clown Crown posse have a fundamental inability to read things properly. And I just pointed that out by the fact that, you know, he did not understand a word I was saying in the Skype call. I thought I explained it quite clearly. I was concise. I was not leading him on. I was not, you know, setting him up for anything. And his takeaway was, and I won't show you the message he sent me that wasn't on a Skype, because I'm not going to do that. But since he showed our Skype conversation, he was basically accusing me of once again, Steve, you know, you're just being duplicitous and you're being dishonest and you're just setting me up. And I'm like, Nephi, let me explain something to you. I have a damn good reputation that I built up over the last couple of years. I wouldn't have that reputation if I went around lying to people and setting them up. Ken Hovind himself comes on my channel to have debates, because even though we disagree fundamentally, he knows he's going to get a fair shake out of it, right? He knows that I'm not going to lie to him. And so, you know, the whole thing that I'm somehow setting Nephi up for a debate, that would be against my interest, because people come to my channel to have fair debates, right? So.
That guy. All right, fair enough. The other thing Nephi said, like I said before, like he thinks that every single amino acid change in a protein breaks the protein, or something like 99%, whatever. And he pulls out this paper called Stability Effects of Mutation. I think I've got it here. No, not that one. The other one. Stability Effects of Mutation. There we go. And protein evolvability. And so it's on my screen there. You can see the title of it. Whatever. But he pulls this one out. And this is the one where I said, look, I haven't read it, so I can't comment on it. And he basically says this line: the accepted paradigm that proteins can tolerate nearly any amino acid substitution has been replaced by the view that the deleterious effects of mutations, and especially their tendency to undermine the thermodynamic and kinetic stability of protein, is a major constraint on protein evolvability. And he went on for about 10 minutes saying, you know, you're just denying what the abstract says, and bloody evolution tardists, just denying the absolute truth. And he actually cited this as evidence that 99% of amino acid changes cause a damage to the protein. And I actually read the paper the other day. Oops.
Oh, wait. Say that again. You read
this is his paper.
So wait a minute, you're supposed to actually read these things? I mean,
yes.
I thought you were just supposed to like throw out the abstract or the title and called it a day.
Correct. I actually paid for it. I'd buy it from fucking Elsevier or something. Science Direct. Yeah, Elsevier. Yeah, so I read the paper and I found this little nugget here, which you can see. Oops, how do I... That one. This little nugget here, in this paper that he's citing himself, experimental measurements in several different proteins indicate that the likelihood of mutation to be deleterious is in the order of 33 to 40%.
When they say deleterious, I mean, do they mean that the protein no longer functions as it's supposed to do, or it doesn't fold properly, or how? I think anything deleterious they mean.
Sorry?
When they say deleterious, does that mean that the protein's no longer functional as what it was supposed to do?
Or it could just mildly affect function. I think deleterious just means anything negative, not necessarily disastrous or catastrophic.
Yeah, so I mean, so literally you can have amino acid substitutions and the protein can still function in properly what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, but that wouldn't be deleterious. Like that'd be neutral. But even if it functioned 95% of its normal functionality, that would still be deleterious, but it might still work.
Okay, but he's making the claim that it'll kill you.
He's basically saying that proteins cannot change,
which
not even one amino acid.
So the whole proteomics is going out the window.
Well, I mean, you could find clades of animals that Nephi would have to admit are a single kind, a single biblical kind, and show that even among that single genus, even there are lots of amino acid mutations in the same protein, even just in a single genus. So clearly, proteins can tolerate a number of mutations, but he's got basically a hard line in that 90 to 99% of mutations are very deleterious.
Is that, do you think, because he thinks all these creatures were, came into existence fully formed, and he doesn't understand speciation? But do you think it's because if species came in fully formed by God, there's no reason for proteins to have quote unquote evolve? And I mean that as in change, not like biological evolution, but proteomic evolution, which is a real thing, right? Changing a protein.
I think it started with that paper from 2005, which said 80% of proteins between chimps and humans are different. And that was, I actually studied that paper today. And they looked at 127 proteins and found that only 25 amino acid chains were identical between chimps and humans, which means 80% are different, obviously. The interesting thing is that 80% are different, but it's something like maybe, I don't know, 90% of them, 90% of all proteins are either 100, 98 or 99% identical. I'm not sure exact numbers, but it's very high that the proteins between chimps and humans are about 98 to 99% identical at the amino acid level. So
okay.
Sorry. Yeah, he's taken that 80% are different, and basically said that because they're all different, we cannot share a common ancestor because proteins cannot evolve for some reason.
I want to hear him say that. I really want to have him say that proteins don't change. I mean, I think I've heard him.
Yeah, he's got several videos on it. Okay. I've watched his videos over the last week.
All right, it's been a while. It really has been a while since I've watched this stuff. Right?
I was in a couple of them. It was pretty funny. Yeah.
It's just bizarre, isn't it? I mean, because this is one of the reasons why we all have a hard time having these conversations with Nephi. He thinks he knows something, and yet he doesn't. I mean, this is the guy that literally thought at one time DNA was comprised of amino acids, and it wasn't like he just made an honest faux pas. It was a major conceptual error that he had, And
Yep.
he still to this day will sometimes say, you'll talk about DNA and he'll be saying the amino acids in DNA. It's like, well, no, Nephi, there's amino acids in proteins and peptide chains, but there's,
Yep.
he doesn't really conceptualize this stuff very well. What he does is gets a paper, he reads what he wants to read in it, throws it out there and says, oh, look, this disproves all evolution.
Yeah, he's not overly clever. Also in that protein evolution series that he had like 3 videos about how proteins can't evolve. And in another example of the Tommy Hall effect, he quoted a paper which is on my screen now, amino acid substitutions effects on protein stability as evidence of how proteins cannot evolve. But again, I had to read the paper. And if we scroll down to, there we go, down this one. Oops. So this is what the paper that he cites actually says. Sequences of the same protein in different species can be very different, more so if the species are evolutionarily distant. For example, in yeast and humans, the sequence of calmodulin, an important calcium-binding protein, differs in 42% of its positions. In fact, yeast and human sequences of most proteins differ at this level. Yet many yeast proteins can be replaced by a human counterpart, i.e. replacing the yeast molecule with a human molecule does not produce an observable change in phenotype. This means that the sequence space is so large that effective functioning can be achieved by many different sequences.
So basically, you could, if I can translate this, you could.
I'm
you could
quoting his own
probably
paper.
translate it if I get it right. So you could take a protein, you can have many different types of amino acid substitutions in it, and still achieve the same proton functionality that it's supposed to have.
Yeah, but these, like I said, it's the Tommy Hall effect of citing papers that actually say the opposite of what you think they say.
Yeah, because this actually says this literally says you can have amino acid substitutions and nothing happens. With certain proteins, obviously.
Same
or
with
change
the
position
other one.
or change the sequences of them, right?
Yeah.
And for people that are listening that may not know anything about this, we kind of forget that some people don't know anything about these topics, and we kind of talk as if we all have an understanding of it. But what we're discussing is that a protein is just basically a long chain of these things called amino acids stuck together by what's called peptide bonds, and that's all we were talking about. But proteins do certain things, like collagen is a structural protein, so it helps build scaffolding for things. And that's one of the things that he likes to get into too. He's like, oh, how does a new arm form? Well, existing scaffolding, So I started to explain.
That's right. I just love how his own papers directly contradict him. so
well, did you have something on the human chimp genome too? Because he keeps on saying, "Oh, we're not related to chimpanzees," and yet when I look at the genomic analysis, I don't see anything but a relationship.
Yeah, I'd be happy to take any questions on that from Nephi or Ronnie at any time. Like, I don't need to prepare for that.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll want to touch on that. I mean, he said that he'll do the.
He said he was bored.
What's that?
He said he'll be bored if he discusses it for more than half an hour.
Well, some of these stuff require more than half hour, to be honest with you. Yeah. Let me screen share 1 sec. Just looks better. Okay, so.
Oh, yeah, am I still? Yeah.
Yeah, I put it back on me, or the desktop of my system here, so it gets the chat recorded too. Yeah, I mean, I happen to like HT2. I think it's a fascinating subject. I don't even remotely understand it as well as people like obviously you or Rational Mind or Sam or any of those guys, but I really like it as a subject. I think HT2 is fascinating, right?
Yeah. So do I.
And I think I could probably get into at least a discussion with somebody on like Nephi to explain to him what it actually is and why it is a fusion. I'd rather have somebody like him or C. Brown come in and at least try to explain to people why it's not, and then we just explain to them how they're wrong. Because when you've done this before, you destroyed them. I mean, you clearly pointed out they have no idea. Oh, people are asking me who I'm talking to. It's some guy named Rufus Midnight. He's just a dude from Australia. He doesn't sleep very much. So.
No, I do. I'm up late.
Okay.
I rarely stay up late. Yeah.
Yeah, I know I got stabbed.
Yeah, C. Brown.
Sorry, I can't do anything about it right now.
Yeah, C. Brown will change the topic immediately when he realizes he can't defend. Same with Ronnie, actually.
Yeah, I've noticed that with C. Brown. He won't defend on a topic that he'll say is the case. He'll say, well, it's definitely not a fusion, but when you actually start asking him specificities about it, say, okay, can you show me an active transcript across the fusion site on the long read? Oh, well, no, but I have a short read transcript. Okay, great. That's not what I asked for. Have you noticed him doing that, though? He pulls a Tompkins and he tries to offer up the short read transcript for the long read.
Oh, he's done that before, yeah. I think I actually made a note on his Google profile like months ago. Don't talk to C. Brown because he refuses to believe or refuses to accept that massive gap on chromosome 2B is a fake gap. And it's like it's
an alignment.
It's clearly a fake gap. Right? Yeah, all it does, right, is so chromosome 2A is about 130 megabases long or something like that. And 2B is about 120 as well. All they do is insert a gap at the start of 2B to make the whole chromosome 240 megabase pairs long, so it matches human chromosome 2, purely so the numbers match up. That's all. Yeah. And in the newest chimpanzee genome, they've actually removed the gap, which is, clearly evidence that it wasn't really meant to be there in the first place.
Yeah, it's an artificial gap.
Yeah, artificial gap. But
he literally thinks that is missing.
Missing
sequences, right? I mean, that's I hate to say it, idiotic.
Yeah, and they've taken it out now. So the current chimp genome, Pantro 5 or Pantroglodytes 3.0, the numbering is all fucked up. But the current one is actually a full de novo assembly.
So how did it explain that if they do a whole new de novo assembly? How does he explain the comparative analysis now then?
Well, he can't. He couldn't explain it before. So it hasn't really changed.
I wonder if that's kind of why they've stopped talking about this particular topic. I mean, after you went into a hangout with Ronnie and them, where you had pointed out that Ronnie didn't know what a telomeric repeat was.
Yes, that was funny.
I think he kind of shied away from that, except that he just recently brought this up again. Yes. So, I mean, it's fair game now. Every time he brings this up, it's like, okay, well, I like this topic. I know people are like, well, why do you guys keep engaging? It's like, why do you waste time talking about what C. Brown believes? Who cares? I find it funny. I find it enjoyable. I like laughing at some of the things they say. It's perfect. It's strictly for lulz, Lamed. That's it. I mean, C. Brown says some dumb shit.
He does. He parrots a lot of shit. I mean, same with Ronnie. They both parrot Tompkins. And that's why I just want to talk to Tompkins, because these guys have no idea.
And well, C. Brown actually plagiarized too. Did you see that I caught him in the plagiarization? He plagiarized somebody.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I caught him on it, and he said, well, no, I didn't plagiarize this guy. I plagiarized this other guy.
Quantum Eraser.
Yeah. He's like,
plagiarized Quantum Eraser.
Yeah, he got it from what's his name? Quantum Eraser. Yeah, and I don't remember who he plagiarized, but I was like, that's not your words, that's the words. And he said, no, I actually got that from Quantum Eraser. I'm like, so you plagiarized Quantum Eraser? Plagiarizing somebody else?
Yeah. Cracking stuff. Ronnie's well aware that I'll debate him at any time. Well, not at any time, but I am open for debate on the chromosome 2 topic whenever he likes.
And I will host that or watch it or whatever. So, yeah, I'm down for that. I don't know how to get back in touch with Tompkins anymore. He kind of dropped off the grid.
I'm sure he's filtering my emails.
Oh, I'm sure he is too.
Hasn't responded for months. Ronnie put up a video the other day of his his take on the whole thing, the chromosome 2 nonsense, as he calls it. What was his first claim was that telomere to telomere fusions don't happen in nature, and we've found 3 at least. First being the pig, second Hartmann zebra, and doggies are fucking killing each other.
Yeah, hang on. I gave the link. I'll open up for a few. If we get sniped, no big deal. I could actually fix stuff, so it doesn't matter. But I mean, if you want to come in. Link's out there, and I'll remove it eventually. But come join us. Especially, I have somebody that I met the other day named Marcus in the live chat that I'd like to have a couple words with, so he can come on in.
Yeah,
Maybe you
I
were
won't
saying.
actually show these papers.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll bring up these papers for
Wow, it was
each telomeric,
like
telomeric fusion.
Anyways, hello.
Hi, Midnight.
Hello.
Yeah, I figured I was watching. I figured I'd come in.
Cool. We'll get some people in here.
All right.
You would need to be presented, or
Yeah, present me, and I'll screen share. Hold on. Here we are. Screen share. Boom.
You should be presented.
All right. So this is the paper over here. Can everyone see that paper now?
Yep.
Cool. All right. So this is just the abstract. What they did was compare the karyotype of the pig and the babirusa, which I'm fairly sure can interbreed, so there's no question about whether they're the same kind or anything. And this little line here, likewise, we conclude that pig chromosome 6 was most likely derived by a telomere-telomere fusion of ancestral chromosomes homologous to babirusa chromosomes 6 and 14. I will try and get the actual babirusa. There we go.
Yeah, because one of the things I keep on saying is that telomeric fusions will happen. You've actually found multiple different things. You found I remember you found one in ants. You found one for the Munchak deer. Hey, Marcus. Oh, you got a lot of background noise, Marcus.
Yeah, you got it mute.
Yeah, I got it.
There we go. So the paper starts out. Recently, the presence of interstitial telomeric sequences in band Q22 of pig chromosome 6 was reported. And all that means is that there are a few copies of TTAGGG found in the middle of a chromosome, which is the telomeric sequences which should be on the end of a chromosome. So there's a question of whether, it's like of whether telomerase, which is the protein that puts those TTAGGG repeats into the DNA, did it in the middle of a chromosome, or whether two chromosomes fused. So they tested that theory in the paper.
How would that work, though? I mean, the telomerase usually puts the telomeric sequences at the end of the chromosome, obviously, part of the capping.
Yeah, but if DNA breaks...
How does it put it in the middle, though? What does it do? Does it exercise it and then actually puts it in there and then ligands together?
Usually if DNA breaks somewhere and there's an overhang that telomerase recognizes, so like a GGG or something like that, it might recognize it. Yeah, it might recognize it as the end of a telomere and put a few repeats on.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so they're different. But what they do in this paper, if we scroll down, here we go. So pig chromosome 6, these things here are specific genetic markers that only bind to specific places on the chromosome. So what you can see here is this BHT164 is right near the telomere of babirusa chromosome 14, and it maps to about here somewhere. So Q22 is that little bit there, if you can see that. And this BHT 10.3 maps to the very end of chromosome 6 of the babirusa, and maps to this location
there were two
here as well.
Chromosomes that came together, clearly.
Yeah. Yep, and they found telomeric repeats at this site as well, which basically confirms. So you've got the positioning of these two probes right next to each other when they are right on the end of chromosomes here, and right next to each other, and telomeric repeats where it's clearly joined. So that's, as good as evidence you're going to get.
We know these. Okay, so basically, we know these things happen. We've seen them happen. We know actually people that live with chromosomal fusions, right? So we know these things happen across the board. We have evidence of them happening, and then Tompkins actually one time says we've never seen these in nature. I think he needs to recant that.
Yeah, I've told you about that.
Yeah, and I think C. Brown and Ronnie, when they parrot this stuff, they need to be correct on that too, because they're just parroting Tompkins. That's all they do.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like I hope Ronnie sees this and realizes, like they do happen in nature. What's the other paper? Jack Jumper Ant. Let me see. Hang on, I'll find it online. One second.
And real quick, do you have the actual? Do you have the sequences of the fusion itself?
In the pig? No, I have been.
No.
Trying.
But do you have one of the HE2 though? I know you've been trying.
Actually, too,
Actually,
yeah.
you're doing that analysis on your own through the Minion, right?
Oh yeah, but I haven't touched that for months. It's been pretty hectic the last few months, so I haven't done any sequencing. I did some sequencing back in, I think it was April or May, and the sequence that I got was fairly low quality and fairly low yield, and I figured out that I made a mistake in the protocol. Cross the hang on.
If you want, but if you want to show the actual fusion real quick, if you get a chance, or I mean, I can find it for you.
I can do it.
Cortana.
Fusion site. Fusion site faster. There we go.
See, this is what I'm thinking of.
Oops, hang on. The fuck?
Hello, hello.
Hello. Yeah, there you go. Now your mic's working.
Yeah, I was just
welcome
getting
to my channel
getting things.
buddy.
Is that Sam?
I was just getting things set up, make sure I didn't have tons of background noise or something.
You sound great. No, my mic is crap right now, but it's a long story.
Okay.
I usually do this a completely different way, but this was whatever.
Yeah.
So if I get a little staticky, it is. But yeah, I'm gonna finish my conversation, or at least I want to talk to you a little bit about what we were talking about the other day, and maybe set something up. But I'll do that I'm done with this genetic stuff. If that's cool. You got time, Marcus?
Yeah, sure. Anyway, there is the fusion site.
Yeah, I got a little bit of time.
All right, it won't be that much longer. So okay, so here's the fusion site, and this is for what's this one?
This is human.
Okay, it's not exactly what the one I was looking for, but it doesn't matter. The same principle. So right in the middle there, where it shows it goes from TAAA to CCT. It shows the reverse. It's the head-to-head alignment, right?
Yep.
So prior to that, you have all these hexameric repeats. They're not pristine. I mean, you can tell
That's
that.
important. That's very important.
Yeah, it is, because it's obviously okay. Let me explain to people, and I have this in the video, so many of you guys have watched my video on this. Telomeric repeat is just a repeat of a specific nucleotide sequence, which is TAAGGG in humans, and that repeat prevents chromosomes from fusing together. It helps prevent fusions just like this. But when you get one, it'll look like this, because you have the TTAGGG, then you have the complement after that, because you have a reverse complementary head-to-head alignment. And the fact that these are not pristine, that there's degradation here, they're not perfectly TTAGGG, the telomeres didn't function the way they're supposed to do. They didn't prevent the fusion because they were degraded. And one of the things that Tompkins said was, well, these are not pristine telomeres, therefore it's not a fusion. And I want to ask him, I know you want to ask him, well, why would we have a telomeric fusion if these all were pristine?
Exactly. If they were pristine, we shouldn't have a fusion.
It'd be highly unlikely.
Yeah.
I don't, but I mean, this is clear evidence to C. Brown and to Ronnie. This is a telomeric fusion, and all he said was, do you remember what he said when he looked at this? Oh, it wasn't this one. It was for the Munchak. But do you remember what he said when he looked at a nucleotide sequence like this?
No, what did he say?
I'll give you a hint. Remember he said something about G.
Oh, G-rich sequences.
Yeah, he's like, look at all the G-rich sequences.
Yeah.
Oh, there's telomeric repeats all over the place. And the one you showed him, there was only one telomere repeat on the screen. You remember that?
Yeah.
And he said, "Look at all these telomere
highlighted
repeats."
something like
You're like,
TAAG.
yeah, he thought all those were. He thought anything was. He thought TAAG was a telomeric repeat. He thought TCG. It was really strange. Anyways, sorry.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
So this is what the Munchak fusions
Yep,
look like.
yep, I recognize those.
So they're not pristine. Yeah, not pristine and not very long. That's what they look like.
Yeah, and those are highly degraded regions, right?
Yeah. You can see, like, I've highlighted all the pristine ones, and you can see all the, mutated or different ones. So there's a really short one, right? So these are like 150 base pairs up to like 800 base pairs. And that's well in line with what the human chromosome fusion site looks like, where it's got like 250 base pairs on one side and 550 on the other. So they're well in line with what other fusions look like in terms of length and degeneracy. Who's got the static key?
Could be Marcus.
Yeah. Is Marcus Midnight Sparkle?
No.
Oh no, Marcus Phoenix. All right.
Oh, that's
that
me.
might be me.
Hello.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. It could be.
I got a little noise in the background, but I didn't think my mic would pick it
No,
up.
I don't hear it, so it's fine on my end.
Yeah,
I
I
believe
was-
let me stop presenting. Or let me go back to presenting me. Okay, so I mean, in a nutshell, I mean, let's just kind of wrap it up as far as Nephi, because I want to talk about some other things real quick. But
yeah, I've got to go to bed as well. 2 o'clock.
yeah, I know it's really late for you. I want to see this happen. I still want you to debate Nephi, but I want people, everybody to watch this.
That's gonna happen.
Well, eventually things do, but
I mean, I hope, but
I want everybody to watch this, and I want them to note that what Nephi was saying was complete bullshit. He told C. Brown that I didn't tell him who the people were that I wanted him to debate. I made it very clear that's the first thing I told him on Skype, and I gave him his Facebook page. And the first thing I said was HC2, that then the human chromosome, the chimpanzee's genome.
My baby.
And this is just Nephi doing what he does. This is Nephi not understanding. He's thinking everybody else is trying to get him. Everybody else is being vague. There was nothing vague about this. I had talked to him on Skype. I had talked to him on G+. And there was no miscommunication except for the fact that Nephi didn't understand this. So
I believe anything. A man with a dog says, "Too cute." Okay.
well,
Yeah, she's
yeah,
beautiful.
Ruth
got Piggy as
generally
well.
knows what he's talking about pretty well.
Yeah, I know. It was,
Oh, jeez, Pig. Oh,
He'll go Jack.
There you go.
Yeah, Pig
Piggy
too.
as well.
Oh,
three dogs.
they're both dogs. Okay, I got confused for a second.
Now I will say this: Nephi did, like I said, I'm fair. Nephi did say he'd be willing to take down those 2 videos as a courtesy. I told him I don't care. It makes no difference to me.
we've downloaded them.
Well, I mean, I prefer that they stay up because I want a record of this. I have them downloaded.
Yeah, I mean, he probably.
But I mean, all he had to do was message me, but he decided to be a drama whore. And oh, look at Steve. He's bungled this. He bungled the handling of this. No, I didn't. I made it very clear to him. Rufus has been paying attention the entire time. Rufus, did I tell him anything that, I mean, was there any miscommunication? Was I not clear to him what you said, exactly what you told me?
Yeah. Pretty clear.
Yeah. So, anyways,
Yeah,
moving on a little bit.
Nephi just wants drama.
Marcus.
Yeah.
There. Okay. So, anyways, I want to get with you. People are gonna be bored at this point. So, if you don't want to hear any more about Nephi and you're done with the topic, guys, go ahead and tune out. I don't care. No, I'm kidding. Keep watching. This is gonna get good. But do you want to have another hangout on that at some point? Maybe on the my other channel, which is the GDC channel, or on Godless Engineers channel. He said he would do another one. Holy Kool-Aid.
Sure. I mean, yeah. I found it pretty interesting, even though I was listening most of the time, just because you and Logic were going back and forth, and it got pretty. I mean, it stayed pretty civilized, but I could hear Logic getting kind of irritated because
I know that too. That's the
have
first time I've talked to him verbally, and I was, I didn't want to piss him off, but I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, and I don't lie to my audience. I was a little taken aback. I mean, I loved Logic's videos, and I don't think that he's looking at this correctly at all. I think he's fundamentally wrong.
Can I get a link to that stream? You talked to Logic?
No, we're not going to go into the exact details because there was an offline hangout. And,
never mind.
We could talk about generalities, but I don't talk about specificities when it comes to off-air hangouts.
That was a stream or something.
No, this is off-air. But I mean, like I said, we could talk about things.
Yeah. So I mean, we ended up talking about it for a good hour afterwards, or whatever. Ended up talking a long time, but no, it was a great stream. Even though there was a bit of a disagreement, I guess, but it did spark conversation, which ended up being a good thing because then it gave us something to talk about for quite a while.
That's cool. So I had to go because like I said, I was going to Goddess Engineers channel, and I know the takeaway was Logic probably thinks that I'm not very rational or logical. But I have to, I have to say, I have a pretty good rapport with the entire atheist community for the fact that I do think that I'm putting forth very good information. I have a lot of people that agree with me. In fact, 98% of the Great Debate community uses these phrases the way I do, not because I've told them to. It's just that this is how they utilize these things. And there's certain reasons, philosophical wise, why I think that the positions that people have, what they say, don't really correspond to what they're actually trying to say. right? And when you start talking about gumballs and things of that kind of nature, it can get really confusing if you don't have some visual aids, right?
Oh, sure. I mean, the visual aid definitely helps, especially you get talking about the certain things in philosophy, and especially the you got to break down the meaning of words and how they change through even just generationally or individually and stuff, and it gets to be quite a confusing mess.
That's true, right? That's very true. Apologia says, by the way, I'm not as cool as Logic. No, you're not Apologia, but no, you're cool. You're cool. Apologia. But he says, Stephen, what's that?
Apologia is really cool. I watch all his videos.
Yeah, Apologia is way cool. He's one of my favorite channels now. But he said, but Steve and I have come to a tentative understanding of these matters. Yeah, I have to agree. Apologia and I have sussed this out independently of everything else, just with each other. And I know where he's coming from. He knows exactly where I'm coming from. We have a different approach because I have my own audience. He has his own audience. Oh, Rufus, you want to bed? Thank you, buddy. I'll be in touch with you. Thanks for dropping in on this, and we'll get you going on this. But we have, thank you, buddy. We have different audiences we're catering to for different reasons. That doesn't mean either one of us are going to put out misinformation. That doesn't mean either one of us are wrong or anything like that, right? I understand his reasoning. He understands the material. That's the main takeaway, right? That's the battle. He gets where I'm coming from. He knows what I'm saying makes sense. I know what he's saying makes sense. Just because we're using these things differently, as long as we understand each other, I don't have a problem, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So that makes total sense. So I think there's like kind of 2 points of view here. One is kind of like a more the terms being used in a more of an everyday use means something different entirely than when you're in a discussion over the philosophy behind it. And so it's there's this kind of divide between if you go out and say you're an atheist in an individual conversation versus whether or not you're in an actual group discussion about the meaning of the philosophy behind it and the meaning of the words and stuff, then if you say, oh, I'm an agnostic, then they have different meanings per who you're talking to.
Right, and that's a big thing, right? And that's Apologia makes a great point on that. He's like, look at the people that watch my videos that I'm trying to reach, not us, right? We watch his videos, but I mean, let's be realistic. I know Paul pretty well by this point. At least what I think his intent for his channel is. He doesn't do his channel for me. He doesn't do his channel for you. He doesn't do his channel for subscribers. He does it for the people he wants to learn something from it. I mean, of course,
sure. I would certainly hope he doesn't. I like as far as me watching someone else's video, I would never want them to cater to their supporters or their audience. I watch Logic for his point of view,
right?
Not for something that I want him to talk about. I love Apologia's channel because of his point of view, and at least on the topic of Apologia has greater meaning to me, I guess, because just a few years ago I was a pretty hardcore Christian, and I was right up there with Kent Ham. So all of his ham and eggs videos and stuff
resonates.
I just love those videos. they're just the best.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. There's the whole. You're able to find people's channel. I mean, I've only been around a couple years, so I came late in the game. But it's great that you have found channels to get information from and get resources. So.
Oh, sure. Well, I just there's I could actually I'm still kind of in a sponge state where I'm just absorbing as much information as I can. I'm formulating arguments and
so you're my target audience then, because I mean, people like Logic and people like R and Rob and people that I have the utmost respect for, they've already formulated their opinions. I'm never going to change Arn's opinion on anything. I've tried. Everybody else has tried. Arn's set in stone. It's the way it is.
Yeah. I mean, he's been. I'm gonna say, I don't even know how long he's had his arguments formulated and stuff. But he's an old dog. You can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Right. Exactly. But it's not really conducive to me to really like say, hey, Aaron, hey, let's have an actual discussion on this. I've had discussions with them about it, but my target audience is people like yourself who haven't been in this echo chamber of YouTube for very long. And with the atheist community echo chamber, they've been ingrained that this is the way it is. They've been told over and over again by people that have large channels, this is what these words mean. There are no other meanings. It could not be any other way. And that anybody who's ever read a book on philosophy goes, wait a minute, that's not right. You know, that's misinformation. When I tell people that I'm a temporal agnostic and they say, well, Steve, you don't know what you're talking about. You can't be a temporal agnostic, or worse, you can't be an agnostic without being a theist or an atheist. And it's just like, no, trust me on this. You do not have to be only theist or atheist. Those are not the only two options, contrary to what anybody tells you. But they've been ingrained to say that, right? It's a mantra at this point. It's an idiom that says, oh, well, you're the one or the other. Well, no, that's just not true.
Doesn't that seem kind of cultish in a way? I mean, I know that probably
it's groupthink. It's groupthink.
Yeah, groupthink would be a better term than cultish, I suppose.
Yeah, it's groupthink because I mean, a cursory amount of study going to Google Scholar and reading some books on these topics will inform anybody that you do not have to be one or the other. Right? There are positions out there. Yeah, well, let me ask you, Midnight. There's a position called theological non-cognitivist, right? And a theological non-cognitivist is somebody who accepts theological non-cognitivism. That is a position that they believe that the whole proposition is meaningless. You can't even begin to say whether the proposition God exists or not is true or false. It's a meaningless, incoherent, nonsensical statement. And what people are doing is saying, well, that means you're an atheist. Well, no, an atheist means you've already evaluated the proposition. You came to the conclusion that God does not exist, using formal philosophy as far as what formal
Marcus, I think that's Marcus.
Yeah, he's in traffic. It's okay.
Well, no, yeah, it's fine. I'm just trying to hear you.
But the point being is that a theological cognitivist says I can't even evaluate the proposition. So how can you label me one or the other? Right?
On it, Steve. I'll be honest with you. You know, the more I learn, the more I'm being pushed away from the whole God thing. So I may eventually come out as an atheist. I don't know.
I'm an apatheist online. I don't give a shit if somebody believes in God or not. That's not important to me, right?
Yeah.
My thing online is I want people to have at least the right information, and I want people to respect other people's positions, right? If you're a theist, I want people to be able to respect that, and I want them to have arguments, and I want the atheists to have arguments. I don't care one way or another when I'm online whether God exists. I mean, obviously I have my own theological things. You know, I like to know if God exists, but when I'm online, that's not my thing. I don't care.
But Steve, you know, isn't arguing with the other person sort of not respecting their position? Wouldn't respecting their position just be like, you got your way, I got mine?
No. Look the other day. Did you watch the Hangout for Godless Engineers channel that we had?
Which one?
The hangout where Goddess Engineer hosted. He hosted me going in to explain to them this with Ozzy, Nikolai. We had Goddess Cranium. We had Apologia. We had Isa.
Yeah. Hold on. I think I saw. I think I was watching that. It was temporal agnostic.
Yes.
Yeah. I think I watched that.
Right. See, that was honest discourse. That was people getting together to have a conversation that disagreed. Nobody's going to all agree with everybody else. This is the great debate community, okay? We literally, in my case, make a living out of conflict.
Okay. Can I point something out?
I mean, if you want to break it down, my entire income is based on the fact there's conflict. So if we all got along and we all agreed upon things, I wouldn't have a channel.
Yeah, no, I know. I just like to point out something before this disappears. If the electric universe, basically Jesse Pinkman's yelling, magnets, bitch.
Yeah. That's
oh my God, the electric universe. You know, we're not going too much into it but the electric universe has been posed to me as a legitimate thing, and I'm like, this doesn't seem right.
Yeah, no, I can't even get into the EU anymore. When I tried, I was going to bring it up, and I was going to have hangouts on it. I am familiar with it, but the guy I talked to decided to go off to the deeper end of nuttery, and I'm like,
I think
why I don't deal with EUers. EUers are worse than flat earthers in some ways. So cool.
I think I know who you're talking about. I've had many dealings with this person. Maybe I could be wrong. about the.
It probably is because it's something I was on Facebook with. So
Oh no, never mind. I was thinking of the other guy. You have a video on your channel with arguing for like 11 minutes.
you're talking about Grim?
I didn't want to say his name, but yes.
Oh, I don't care. It's already no Grim. We were arguing about cancer, right? But anyways, back to what we're saying. So Marcus, just to kind of bring this back on point, the things we're saying, if people actually thought about them, would make sense. But again, they've been ingrained that this is the way it is. This is, if you're an atheist, this is how you should think. And that's bothersome, right? Because there's no one size fit all. Hey, Steve.
Hey, what's up?
Welcome, by the way.
Thanks. Surprised you guys can even hear me.
You sound great.
Yeah, so do you guys. What's up?
Well, I know I've
I'm
got
on my
static, but whatever.
No, that's all right. I'm on lunch now, so I'm not gonna be here too long, and so I just thought I'd say hi to you guys.
Yeah, no, more the merrier, man. I have open hangouts as much as possible. I like having people drop in and have a conversation, right? But Marcus, go ahead. This is where you were going with that. You know, where you're standing. You said I don't want you to get into too much detail, but you said you were talking about an hour, because it was funny because like 2 days ago. Well, no, I mean that wasn't 2 days ago. Yeah, I guess it was yesterday morning. Logic had actually, started tweeting me with ISEF on this again, and I think we kind of reached a mutual understanding, right? I mean, I'm not. The last thing I want to do is I'm not punching up, right? There's a rattle, but that's rattle. It's actually the others. Yeah, one sec. I'm gonna have to mute you for a sec, Stephen, because you got a weird rattle. I don't want to punch up. I don't want to pick a fight with somebody, right? Especially somebody that I like on their videos. I don't want Logic to make a video about this, even though it dramatically increased my viewership. That's not my goal. That's not how I want to get known on the internet, right? Does it make sense?
Yeah, I mean, the especially in light of the recent YouTube dramas that are breaking out and stuff over just petty things. It's not good to have a whole video response battle over something like this.
Right. I mean, now granted, I would be thrilled if Logic never mentioned the Great Debate community in a positive or even kind of a neutral way. But yeah, I don't want to get in a war with him. I want him to understand. That's it, because he does have a large audience, and when he tells people something, they're going to listen, and I want him to understand, so he doesn't put out information that I think is incorrect, right?
Well, sure. I mean, and I think what it is I've streamed with Logic a couple times now, and I guess got to know him a little bit. I think he was getting a little bit frustrated just because he was having a hard time understanding what you were trying to say, and like you said in the chat, you were having a little bit of trouble kind of explaining your idea in a way that was more easily understood, and I think that he was getting frustrated over that because he was just like, I don't really get what you're saying, kind of thing. And he was just
I realized afterwards I looked at it from what he was trying to say, and I was looking at it from what I was trying to say, and we weren't on the same page. And he thought, I know.
So I think in a much more controlled, relaxed setting of you get on a stream that's more on that topic specifically, and explains things better. I think he's very good at understanding things. It just needs to be in a better situation,
right? And he's willing to listen, right? I mean, he's not closed-minded, and that's the biggest thing, right? Would you agree?
Definitely.
I mean, I like Logic, and I like what he does, but he's willing to listen. That's great. No, people like there's drama between Steve and Logic. No, there's no drama. It's just we have a disagreement.
Yeah, I loved this 2-hour response to. It was just awesome. He's very smart. I will agree with that. He did his research, and yeah, I like that about him. A 2-hour
response
to Armored Skeptic.
Yeah, so
oh man, I love that.
I will say right now, I will watch it, right? And I think it's a cool embattlement between those two. Okay, well, it doesn't matter. It can't be off the record because we're live. But I agree with Logic, right? But I like the drama between them. I'm not gonna lie. I find it to be fascinating. But But I think a lot of people
I think that drama between logic and skeptic is quite entertaining because
it is.
it seems to be, yeah. I've been, I mean, shortly after I left Christianity, I started watching skeptics videos because his stuff on like the flat earthers stuff, they're great. I mean, he has some great videos, but he seems more prone to emotional reactions instead of on the spot thoughtful reactions.
He's more visceral. He's more visceral.
Yeah. So he'll just hit record on his mic and he just starts spewing stuff. It's like, whoa, wait, you're throwing some shit out there. Come on, man. And that's what Logic was pointing out. Against Skeptic, it was like, no, you throw some shit every now and then, Skeptic.
Yeah, well, I mean, people lose sight of the fact that, and this is something that needs to be brought up. You could be a big time YouTuber. You can have a name recognition. You can have awesome videos. That doesn't mean you're necessarily right on some of the stuff. And we've seen it time and time again. Big names.
Oh yeah, I mean, everybody's wrong about something.
Well, look at Thunderfoot, right? I mean, a lot of people don't stuff.
Yeah.
I happen.
Yeah, was it me? I watch pretty much all of Thunderfoot's videos. I love his stuff on just debunking junk science and whatnot. But it seemed to me that there was certain things that went down that kind of influenced his decision on voicing his opinions on certain things. And one of the things I noticed was after the U.S. election, he started throwing a lot of illogical, information out there because he was pretty pissed over the Paris Climate Accords. Did you see that? I mean, did you all see that?
Yeah, we were backing out of the accord.
Yeah, and he was, his job is involved with that, and the U.S. backing out of the accords kind of affected his job, and that's why he was so pissed about it, and he got. I think I forget exactly what the video was about, but he's released a couple of videos just kind of trash talking the American political system and stuff because he got pretty mad that all that happened.
Yeah, no, because it personally influences him, right? He has a vested interest in it.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
And I could totally understand that. Something messed with your job. I mean, heck, I'd be pissed. But it's politics. Sometimes you just got to stay out of that. But I do love his stuff on nuclear physics and stuff. That stuff's great. Yeah,
there's opinion-based stuff and then there's science-based stuff, right? And we all have a little bit of mixture of each. And his science stuff, I love watching, right? And I think he's spot on with it. I can't think of anything where I'd go, yeah, what is he talking? I don't think he's really right on that. Let's look into that. I think he's pretty well right in science, obviously, but his opinion, that's his own stuff, right? I could agree with him, I disagree with him, but I'm not going to hold one against the other. If I disagree with him on his social political views, that doesn't mean his science is wrong. And I think people unfairly do that to him, right?
Oh, definitely. And that's something always to keep in mind. It's like, I might have a wrong opinion about something, but if I give you a source for a scientific, theory, it doesn't mean you should doubt that source. It doesn't mean that, I'm spewing crap about that. I could be right about that, but just because I'm wrong on one thing doesn't mean I can be right, or I can't be right on another thing.
Right.
And like you said, his videos on science are excellent. And I've actually been able to, I debate flat earthers all the time. I debate truthers all the time. Even my own parents are right up that alley. They're still hyper religious. And his videos on like nuclear science and stuff are great. I've actually been able to show those to people and show them that, being terrified about this certain type of radioactive isotope is absolute crap because there is such a thing as the nuclear scare where it's just it is a media push bullshit,
Yeah, I mean, do you know what my background was?
No, I don't believe I do.
Nuclear reactors. Yeah, I was a supervisor for nuclear reactors. I was trained to actually train people to operate nuclear power. So that's why when I watch his nuclear stuff, I'm like, yeah, he's spot the fuck on. I've worked with nuclear reactors for 6 years. I went through Naval Nuclear Power School. So I mean, when he's talking about this nuclear scare, yeah, a lot of the radiation from a nuclear power plant is low-grade radiation. It's going to be basically stopped by your skin. It has no effect on you. You don't want to eat this stuff. Some of it's okay, but most of the time it's perfectly fine to handle this stuff. It's low-grade radiation. There are other types of radiation that are more energetic. There are more, for example, there'll be alpha emitters or neutron emitters, which have a higher biological amount of damage. But for the most part, simple beta decay, it's low. It's not that bad. And so the only reason we tag it as radiological is that, for example, if I bring a tool into the reactor compartment, it's considered to be potentially radioactive. And it is, you have to put tape on it, you have to do a survey on it, and you have to do multiple different surveys on it over a period of time in order to finally release it and say it's finally not, it's definitely not radioactive. But at that point, who wants to bother with that? They just say, look, we're going to have one tool. We're going to keep it. We're just always going to assume it's radioactive. We're going to keep it in a special, compartment and just use that whenever we need it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hold on,
Yeah.
Steve.
So I mean,
go
go ahead, Midnight.
Well, no, I was just gonna ask Steve, if this goes back to the stream he had yesterday with Mel the scientist or science. But hang on, the media feeds on people's misunderstanding or lack of understanding of nuclear reactors and nuclear you know what I mean in general. So
Yeah, no,
obviously
there was a scare on it. The media does play on this, sure.
yeah, it is very annoying.
Oh, part of it is, and stuff like this really, really interests me. Is how the it's like who's to blame for the media kicking up this whole storm of the nuclear scare, and you can trace it back to the U.S. and Russian governments putting the story forward to deter people from being pretty much, you create a scare on the populace, and they're not going to want to mess with nuclear too much. And so, I think this is back in the late '60s or something, there was kind of an incentive for the U.S. government to push a narrative through the media of how horrible and awful nuclear was, and all this stuff.
Hey, Marcus, can you please look at the image I have right now? Wait, is it backwards?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
No,
basically
fine.
Basically that.
Yeah, no, I love George. He's brilliant.
He's right about a lot of stuff.
I mean, if you actually look at the numbers, nuclear power is one of the safest forms of energy, bar none. There's more deaths related to coal mining than there ever has been with nuclear. The problem is twofold with nuclear. One, when you hear an accident, it only solidifies in the public mind that there's dangerous. And two, when there are accidents, they're usually a lot more severe, right?
But Steve, how do you explain Chernobyl? Now that I think about it.
Well, okay, what happened was in Chernobyl, the reactors I worked with were called pressurized water reactors, and they had what's called a negative coefficient of reactivity.
Has probably changed, but sorry to interrupt you. Anyways, go ahead.
Their technology was antiquated. A pressurized water reactor is not like a boiling water reactor. It keeps things pressurized, so there's no steam that's being produced except in the steam, what's called the pressurizer. You don't want steam in the system except for a steam blanket. You don't want boiling to occur, and it has it's called a negative temperature coefficient of reactivity, and that's a fancy way of saying you have to fight to keep the reactor going. In other words, if you let the reactor alone, it's going to try to shut itself down. That's an inherently stable feature, okay? Because as the water gets hotter, it gets less dense. The less dense in the medium of the water as a moderator means that less neutrons will slow down, means you have less thermalization of the neutrons, which means you have less absorption by the fuel, which is going to be the uranium. So it is an inherent property of physics that it utilizes to keep these reactors stable and keep them safe. Because
if there's an incident and the reactor depressurizes, it kind of automatically just shuts down by itself.
There's a lot of features that shut itself down with what's called the control drive mechanisms, and yeah, exactly. Well, the Chernobyl reactor had what's called a positive temperature coefficient of reactivity. So let me ask you, if in one type of reactivity addition rate you have to fight to keep it going, what do you think the other one is?
You have to fight to keep it cool.
You have to
Well,
fight,
Steve,
but not go from going out of control. Do you think
Red
that's an
Rover-
inherently safe design?
Probably not.
Yeah,
but Red Eye said Chernobyl was human error. They turned off an alarm.
No. Hang on. It wasn't human error.
I know. I'm just reading what he said. I just wanted to ask you if he's right, but
The
Go ahead.
reactor, the Chernobyl used a graphite cool reactor system. It was sodium graphite, and that moderator is not like water. It has different properties than water, and because of that, when you get hotter, more neutrons are absorbed by the fuel, increasing a runaway thermal effect. Right, you have more fissions, more energy is happening, being released. So it was not an inherently stable design, and the reason they had it, though, was because it was cheap. It's a cheaper design. And what happened was when you added all that reactivity to the core at one time, the water flashed. And when water flashes, it turns to steam. And when steam happens, you have a larger volume of something. So what do you think happened to the pressurizer and the reactor vessel?
Kaboom.
It kaboom. But it wasn't a nuclear explosion, right? It was not a nuclear explosion. It was a steam explosion.
Thermal explosion.
It was a thermal explosion.
Yeah, so I think last year I did a bunch of research on Chernobyl just because stuff like that immensely interests me. So I do a lot of research on just random topics, and an argument came up one day on one of the forums I'm on about Chernobyl. I was like, well, shit, I'll do the research on it. So I'd have just like going through tons of stuff over several days, and you can look at the because there's a lot of pictures. There's a lot of picture evidence. There's just a crap ton of research behind it. It's very well known what happened, and I totally agree with Steve. Obviously, you're light years more of an expert than I probably ever will be. But the reactor, if I'm not, if I'm correct, the reactor was a new reactor that was recently installed in the facility.
Well, I mean, I guess at the time, yeah, but it was still a lot cheaper, more, cost effective to produce for Russia. Russia was never known for having, great economy, right? So they wanted cheap.
Well, sure. Sure. The reactor that blew up was a pretty new reactor that was supposed to be more powerful than the other reactors that were in the facility. And it being new, it was a new reactor. It was not developed. It wasn't a very well developed reactor. Like you said, it was kind of a cheap reactor. Right. But they installed it because they're like, whoa, shit, we can crank this thing up and get tons of power out of it.
Oh yeah.
And so that's
power efficiency.
The problem with the science behind it was that it wasn't well developed. There was inherent flaws in it from the get-go, but it also came down to they underestimated the radiation absorption into the rods when they were running the tests on it. And the explosion of the reactor was triggered by they ran a test to see how much power they could crank out of the reactor. Mm-hmm. And they underestimated how much that the cooling rods, the graphite rods that insert into the reactor to cool it down, they underestimated that those absorbed the radiation to cool it down. And so when they inserted them in to shut the reactor down, it caused a runaway effect that flashed the water to steam.
Exactly.
And you're talking about a 30-second to 60-second reaction where it's just like they hit a button, shut the reactor down, and all of a sudden just gauges red line, like what's going on, and then boom, and the roof blows off.
They added a ton of what's called reactivity to the core at one time. Reactivity, you have a formula that tells you how many neutrons are in the system. If the neutrons are stable, if there's the same amount of neutrons from what's called one life generation to the next, one life cycle, it's critical. If it has more, then it's supercritical. If it's less, it's subcritical. And they added so much reactivity at one time that it went supercritical, and it stayed that way for just, it doesn't have to be very long, but enough to add so much reactivity to that core that it overheated, and obviously the water flashed, and that's exactly what happened. People in the live chat actually have some really good questions. If I can answer them real quick, do you mind?
Sure. I'm gonna mute for a bit. I'm gonna go get something, but I'll be right back.
All right. So there's a couple good questions in there. One person had asked, Chris had asked, can a nuclear power plant explode like an atomic bomb? The answer is absolutely no. And the reason being is because in order to have an atomic explosion, you have to have a certain geometric shape. You have to have a shape that can cause that supercriticality to occur without having leakage, where a neutron will be leaked out of the system and not be utilized by the fuel. These formulas for that involve what's called resonant escape probabilities, fast fission factors, thermal non-leakage factors. These are all things that go into that determine a probability of what's going to happen when you start having the chain reaction. So you don't want the chain reaction to die out. You don't want it to fizzle out, right? But you have to have it in such a geometric configuration that every splitting of the uranium goes on to release 2 to 3 neutrons. And 2 to 3 neutrons is basically the average you're going to get from a fission event. It's actually 2.4 when you actually do the math. And so, no, there's no possible way, simply because, one, there's just not enough fissionable material, and two, the fissionable material is not in a configuration that will allow for a nuclear explosion.
Now, Steve, what was the area around Chernobyl ever inhabitable, or I mean, is it inhabitable now?
No, it's still not inhabitable. Yeah, it's still it was thousands of Rankine on contact. It's just ridiculous to imagine how much radiation. The people there, even if they hadn't died by the explosion, would have died by the radiation poison. No problem. They would have been dead easily. If you get exposed to 1,000 rem, you're dead.
So what keeps the radiation isolated to that area? Did they block the entire section off?
Yeah, you just don't go there. I mean, radiation doesn't have an infinite range, right? There's 3 things that affect your exposure to radiation: time, distance, and shielding, which basically means the distance you are from your source, the shielding you have between you and the source, and the amount of time you're exposed. There are some other factors too. The type of source. You have what's called a line source and a plane source, and then you also have a point source. And there's different mathematics you have to use to determine what exposure you get. If I just have like a point of radiation that's coming from a single location, there's a certain formula for that. And then after you reach a certain distance, you have to take into account that, and the formula changes. Or if I have a line source like a pipe, or if I have a plane source, there's all different ways of figuring out how much radiation you're exposed to. And these are all things that, as a radiological control supervisor, or I hate this term, they call them a radiological controls expert. And I hate that, because we none of us ever became experts in this. And I hate that term because we're not experts. But it's called radiological control expert. We have to qualify. We have to be able to exactly tell somebody how much radiation they're exposed to given those conditions. But hang on, let me go back to some of the other questions, because these are really good questions, and I like to get them out there. Somebody had asked, what about the groundwater? Yeah, groundwater is a big factor. Groundwater can have we don't want exposure, obviously, to the groundwater. We use cooling systems to cool the reactor. That's separate from the primary coolant, right? There's a secondary coolant and the primary coolant. We don't want to mix the two. And as long as the secondary coolant is isolated, so you don't have any radiological factors with it, and it's tested all the time, you're okay. But as soon as there's a problem, we don't want that stuff getting into the groundwater. So yes, that's a huge concern. And somebody else had asked, what about the radiological waste? Radiological waste is not as big a problem what people think it is. There's 2 types of radiological waste. There's low grade and there's high grade. High grade would basically be the reactor cores themselves, right? The control rods. These are very, very radioactive on contact stuff, and you don't want to get anywhere near it. And that has to be either buried in lead cases, or it's called vitrification, where you encapsulate it in some kind of glass. And that helps reduce the amount of radiation exposure. But the low grade, yeah, that's the vast majority of stuff that comes out of reactors, low grade radiation. This is the type of radiation that is an electron emitter or beta emitter, which will bounce off your skin, or it's just so low radiation, right? It's not high energetic radiation that it's just not going to deposit a lot of radiation in you. So unless you're eating this stuff and spending a lot of time with it, it's not going to be that bad, right? But they treat anything that's gone into the reactor compartment or that's been exposed to the radioactive coolant as radiation. As radioactive, or potentially radioactive. So we have to get rid of all that stuff. Unless you can actually demonstrate that it's no longer radioactive by many, many different surveys, half the time they don't care. For example, like a tool, like a wrench, we want to survey that out. We want to make sure that eventually at some point we can use that tool again, because tools are expensive to throw away, right? But if it's just like a cloth, right, that's been exposed to, like we've wiped up a coolant spill, right? We're never gonna like survey that wipe to determine that it's not radioactive anymore, because it's probably never be not radioactive, but it's still low grade waste. And there's a lot of stuff that we use to sample these things like the coolant system that we have to be exposed to the coolant, and that is all radiologically contaminated now. So that's the kind of waste that they're talking about, and also waste that goes into things like the chemicals that are treated and things of that nature. So it's not really a huge amount as people think, but it's mostly low grade. Yeah, anybody can rejoin, by the way, Steve. I'm sorry. That was a long-winded explanation, but this is like the one subject that I actually went to school for. So I could actually talk about, because I don't really talk about science. Somebody else talks about biology and shit like that. I'm like, yeah, that's great. I'm fascinated by it. I don't really know that much about it as compared to them. This is one topic that I actually, feel comfortable enough talking about, so I like to talk about it.
So I mean, I was wondering about something, and you may not know it. It may not be your field, but do you think, do you do you think humans could ever become immune to all kinds of radiation?
No, because radiation has two major effects that it does. There's radiation that will affect your cytoplasm in your cells. Okay, it'll actually cause a dissociation of the water molecules. So you'll break them apart, and you're going to form what's called hydronium or hydroxyl ions, which is basically like OH negative and H3O positive. Those are detrimental. Those do damage, right? So the more ionization you have, the more damage occur, and the cell dies. The other types of damage it can cause is on the DNA level. It can cause a lesion. It can cause something to change its nucleotide sequence. It causes a mutation, obviously. So that's another type of damage. And these are cumulative factors, right? Radiation damage is cumulative. It doesn't go away. And so if you expose to too much radiation, then you're going to die. Your cells die because they no longer can survive. This is what happens when people get a large burst of radiation. Over time, their cells start dying, and their intestines, because that's one of the places you're most susceptible, because there's a high volume of water in there, will start to break down, and you literally fall apart from the inside.
So what you're saying is that you don't think that humanity will ever become immune to radiation, maybe in a far distant future?
No, because as long as we have water in our cells, water is going to be able to be disassociated, right? As long as we have DNA is susceptible to mutations. It's just a physical thing of reality.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
anyway, Marcus, you still there? Did you make it back? Nope. Okay. But yeah, I mean, there are some animals that have that are more resilient to radiation, but that's a lot of the reasons that they produce what's called what are they called? They prevent, or they help to reduce free radicals, and I can't remember. They're no, what the heck are they called?
All right, I'm here, Steve. There's gonna be some background noise, so I'm just keeping muted. That's all.
It's not that bad. For example, the Chernobyl birds. These were birds that were mutated during Chernobyl, and one of the mutations that had been selected for was that they produce these antioxidants. That's what I was thinking of. They produce these antioxidants that actually will limit the free radicals and prevent the biological damage, which is a beneficial trait. So if you're exposed to radiation, those free radicals that are produced, these antioxidants go in there and try to remove some of them, right? That's the simplest way I could probably put it as a non-biologist. But that doesn't mean you're immune to radiation. It just means that these things help fix the damage caused by radiation, right? But yeah, so Marcus, let's try to have a hangout on this on another channel, like in the next couple of days with Paula G and a few other people. I'd like to really kind of suss this out more with you, because I know that you are interested. I don't think I'll ever get invited back to a Logic hangout again. One, I'm not a Patreon. I mean, he knows that, and it's only because I'm poor. I told him if I ever get in a situation where I can't be a Patreon, I'd be happy to do so. I really like his content a lot, and I do Patreon to two other people a minimal amount. It's the most I can do right now, because this is my entire source of income, and I'm not And I can't do it. But what I can do is promote his channel. And I told him that. I said, look, I just want to send people your way. That's at least somebody might be a Patreon to you out of that. And he's cool with that. But he's not going to invite me back because I don't think we started off on great terms, even though we were having a great conversation. I think we were.
How did you get an invitation in the first place? That's what I wonder.
Because he asked me.
Oh.
Well, actually, I mean, what it was there was a Patreon that's in the GDTC that said, "Hey, Steve, do you want to take my spot for this Patreon hangout?" And he asked Logic, and Logic said, "Yeah, sure, I know, Steve, that's fine." And then Logic had messaged me. He's like, "Hey, this is the link for it. You want to come join us?" And I was like, "Yeah." So, I mean, I've known his wife for a little while. I mean, she's. So
I'm wondering how much would you have to donate in order to have these off-air hangouts with him?
I don't. What is it? Is it his? What's his level? $10 a month or something for his Patreon hangouts? I don't know. You'd have to look. Yeah. But if people are interested in it, I mean, he does have Patreon. He does have hangouts for Patreons. So, I certainly don't mind soliciting for other people. I think that it's important to do that. This is not all about us. This is a community, and I think that people lose sight of that. So
I can't. I can't help but wonder if he's ever, how many trolls he's actually gotten that came in there who just decided to pay him just to troll him once a month or whenever whenever he has these off-air hangouts.
Oh, I'm sure it's happened, but I mean, he also has the right to kick him out. But
yeah, I know. Well, no,
I
think it's all fair.
Mutual understanding. I really do, but I won't know until the future. I mean, we'll find out.
Well, Steve, one of the problems with the off-air hangouts, the other ones is that you can't really kick anybody out. I mean, it's weird. Well, okay.
Oh, you most certainly can. Trust me. Yeah, you can.
I've been on a couple times, and I haven't seen any trolls yet. I would expect, that might be a thing in the future, but you could definitely kick somebody out. I think, just the other day when Steve was on, he was telling us about hangout sniping and how even me as a patron on that stream, I could actually kick Logic out.
Yeah, it's a legit thing, right? I mean, did you read what I sent you on that from the Great Debate Community Wiki?
Yeah. No, I did that. I read up on it. I was like, that's crazy. Like, that's an intentional feature, and it's like, come on, you know.
And working as intended, they call it. And I wanted to bring that to Logic's attention because I wanted to make sure that if he ever does streams, he's aware of this because it can be exploited really, really badly. And that's why I'm very careful to who I let in. Now, if I get sniped, it's not a big deal. I can go start another hangout, right?
Yeah.
But unless I'm running a debate, because I mean, if I got 350 people watching, I don't want to have to go start this over again and make them wait or lose the audience, obviously, right? But it's something to note to him. So I'm glad that he got a takeaway from that.
Oh, definitely. And I think and anybody doing live streams should definitely know about it. And I wish there was some type of there needs to be some type of change, but I don't know how you'd go about petitioning Google or something to change it. But
they contacted Google. Yeah, more than one person actually.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. Man. Yep. It's so from what I understand, they are doing it so that people that feel like they're being abused can have some kind of empowerment. And I'm like, that's got to be the dumbest freaking thing in the world if that's true.
Wait, what was true?
It's so people, if they're getting harassed or abused, they can have some kind of empowerment to remove the abuser. And I'm like, you don't see a potential for this system to be abused, people? Really?
Well, I mean, Steve, any system can be abused. So that's
right. But this is particularly able to be compromised. I mean, come on, we've seen it. Look at Darwin's deity, for God's sake. He actually goes to rooms and snipes people.
Well, I mean, he can't really do that on Discord. He could kick you out of his server, but that's about it.
Right. Well, Discord's a whole different ballgame too, right?
Yeah.
I don't do Discord.
I've been kicked out like 4 or 5 times for some reason.
Discord's a cesspool.
No,
it is. No, seriously, and I'm happy for that. I am not. This is not news to anybody. I've said this before. I've told Krillism. I love Krillism, but his channel is great because it's Discord, and it keeps people out of my room that I don't want, like racist people, right? I don't want racist in here. I don't want homophobes.
Well, okay, yeah, the cesspool, like, yeah, some servers of cesspools, obviously not. I don't know. Never mind.
Yeah,
But
well,
yeah, General Han Solo's on there, so I can't be all bad.
well, I'm not saying that everybody goes there. I'm not even implying that everybody goes there is, bad, but I mean, it is a cesspool of people, and I think people all agree with that. So
yeah, it's they want their own corner, whatever. Doesn't that's the beautiful thing about the internet. People could just people could just form their own corners and stay there if they want to.
right.
Well, in general, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I sent Logic. I sent him actually. I was corresponding with him quite some time, and I sent him a direct message. He hasn't even read it yet, which I was kind of surprised. I kind of wish he would have, because I kind of like apologize for having a kind of a miscommunication with him, and I want to make sure that he wasn't.
Well, I mean,
upset.
if it was on Twitter, you don't really know if he did read it. Maybe he had nothing to say yet.
No, I know. You can tell. There's a way you can tell if somebody's read your direct message or not.
Oh well, if there is, I never knew about it.
Yeah. And I don't live on Twitter though, so I would, like, you send me direct messages, I may not get them for 8 hours. So I mean, by that time it's not even worth responding. But I'm not on Twitter that much, and even the DMs, I don't.
I mean, why isn't it worth responding if it's like 8 hours?
Well, I'm only on Twitter at night. In the daytime, like right now, I'm not on Twitter, because if I get on Twitter, what happens is I'll spend the entire day just responding, and it gets a little bit much. So I only at night.
You're a popular guy, Steve. What do you want? That's what happens when you create a community. People, when they need you, I don't know that.
When they need you, it's nice to be needed. I want to be wanted, not needed.
Is there a difference? Wait, okay, so is there a difference?
Yeah, there's a difference. Of course, there's a difference between a need and a want.
Right? Yeah.
You need to breathe, but I want vanilla ice cream right now, but I don't need it, right?
Well, okay, we want to talk to you. Is that better?
Yeah. Well, some people do, some people don't. But Nephi sure doesn't today.
Well, obviously not. Nephi and True Empiricism. Yeah, I'm like, I give up.
Yeah, it is what it is. But I mean, when you do have Marcus, when you do next have a thing with Logic, obviously my name might come up, but I hope it's all in good gracious, because I have nothing negative to say about Logic whatsoever. I think we just have a misunderstanding. We have different ways of looking at stuff, and I think we could probably suss it out if we had more time, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I can say first off that things were very positive. Like I said, we probably discussed it for a good hour or so afterwards, and just discussed through the ideas that you brought up and stuff, and we had a good discussion about it. And
like, oh god, that guy's the biggest idiot I've ever met. I'm like, oh, fuck,
No. It was a very good discussion, and by the end of it was just like, I think we even concluded with like, I think if we got Steve back on, under the right context, and and more of kind of a discussion focused towards that, a stream specifically for that, he could explain it a lot better. I think there was just a kind of a disconnect, because we were talking about this or that, and what's going on in the world, and then Steve hops on and starts talking about philosophy, and we're all just like, scratching our heads.
I didn't bring this up. I don't want to go there. I do not even want to even touch that, because we were having some great conversations, but then he started talking about something, and I can't sit here and not say something. It's just not who I am, right? But I'm gonna send you the link to the Goddess Engineer hangout, dude. It was splendid. It was so good. By the time it got done, everybody in that hangout was like a little bit more softened to what we were saying. They were definitely like, you know what, we do need to give this some consideration, because certain people do want to be rational in their thinking, right? And even if they disagree with somebody, they're like, if this person has a point on this, I want to know if it's rational or not. And because I am telling people straight up that they've listened to an echo chamber of popular atheists for so long that they haven't really looked into the details of some of the stuff as much as they should, that maybe the newer people coming up into the atheist community and to these conversations will go, you know what? Let's evaluate this, right? But I think what happens is they get afraid. Oh, I don't want to go against Arn, because Arn's an icon, and I love Arn, and I do. But they're afraid to what these people might think of them, right? Because I don't want Arn to think I'm stupid. Arn has helped me in a debate before, right?
Well, I mean,
I don't want him to think of that way.
So it's
Yes,
natural.
I shouldn't, but that's how I am. It's a fault of mine, but it's how I am. I do concern myself how people that I respect view you. If you view me, right? Or so.
Yeah, because as I said, it's natural. I have the same fears, so you're not alone.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it's pretty common, right? Yeah, so Marcus, let's try to arrange like that. Not with Logic unless he really wants to, but Logic doesn't really do on-air hangouts. He's maybe eventually, but I'll get with you and we'll just like call Gia and a few other people. We'll kind of like suss this out a little bit more on another channel. That sound good?
Sure. No, that sounds great. And yeah, I mean, I think I've discussed with Logic about kind of doing maybe sometime an actual live hangout, and he's open to the idea. He's got a lot of stuff going on, and he's just kind of like probably just not ready yet. I think he will at some point, and I think when we talked about it, it was kind of like with the way Google is now, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. You almost need live streams are kind of a thing that are very beneficial to channels, just because the way things are set up now is crap. It's like back in the day, you could have just posted videos and just been fine with it. But now with no AdSense and the whole crackdown on channels and whatnot, you just can't survive. And I'm into video editing and stuff like that, and you can spend days. Some people even spend weeks working on one video, and if they're not getting anything for it now when they post it.
Yeah, that and that's a great point. They're because of the ad apocalypse, right? But let me throw this out there, because if Logic ever needs help with this, and he might, some of this stuff is non-intuitive. I've been doing this stuff for a while. I actually helped Nephi get back on the other day, right? Nephi had for a year couldn't figure out how to do this stuff, so I actually was willing to help him and get him back on. I'm not throwing that out there to say, oh, look what I did, but I'm just saying that I'm willing to help anybody, even Nephi. And I would be more than happy to help Logic do live streaming and give him some pointers on it. But I think because of what you said, the apocalypse on that, when you do a live hangout, see, I make some videos too, but they're not great, right? They're just average quality and they're interesting, but they don't get the views that my debates have, right? Or my live major hangouts. They don't even get close to that. But his case is the opposite. His video gets the things, but when you have a hangout with your audience, right, your constituents, they feel related to you, right? They feel a connection, right? And if he was actually have some like live hangouts and people could listen in real time, and even some people maybe come in and join every so often, that translates really well. You know what I'm saying? Is it for image wise, because some of these people are thought of as icons, right? I mean, like the living dinosaur is an icon to me. Now he comes in all the time. PZ Myers, somebody who's very well known. They seem to be unapproachable, but when you actually get to know them, they're pretty approachable. And I think that's a good way to come across. As far as like, I don't think Logic wants to appear to be this, really aloof, snobbish person, right? And I think that a live feed will help alleviate any of that.
Well, sure. I mean, a live stream, and I've been on a couple here and there, and a bunch offline, and it really does. So I've been I don't even remember how long I've been a subscriber to Logic, but he's got all these great videos. I watch him all the stuff, and then he started doing the off-air live streams, and being able to do that really brings a public interest to your channel, just because it's like, oh, you can actually tell him what you think in live time, and he might respond to it, and you have a connection there where you have a just actual real-time access to that creator that you watch all the time, and that interest in the channel.
I totally agree with you. And you know who I've else noticed has been doing that? Jacqueline. She has this, I don't remember the name of the thing she uses, and it's only like 200 people watching or so, but she'll go and do that now. she's doing that interactive thing because of this whole ad apocalypse. I think you kind of need to, right?
Well, sure. I mean, yeah, you can do, especially, if you do live streams long enough and you actually do get a following, you can do a live stream a week and make up for what you're not making up in that, what you were making in AdSense. You could do that with live streams now, and that's why almost necessary to do them, and it's certainly important to do them.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Super Chat because they take so much out. I like when people give like $1 or $2 through Super Chat. That's fine because it's not going to be a huge amount.
Oh, there's ways around that, but it does stink.
I know
it does stink that they take so much out. But still, it's the same as AdSense. YouTube will probably pockets 95% of the money from that ad, and that little bit that you get that was making channels big, but now that there's the ad apocalypse and you can't do that anymore. Well, Super Chat, yes, they still take a lot out, but at least you still are able to used to make,
right. But you could do that through PayPal and you get all of it.
That is the way around it. Is just when you start a live chat or when a bunch of people get on, just make sure that they know, hey,
But here's
you don't need to Super Chat. There is a way around it. I'll read the comments. You don't need to Super Chat kind of thing,
But here's why I prefer not Super Chat. I mean, like I said, $1 or $2 is fine. Most of the people that I have come to my channel have been with me a long time. These are people that I consider to be actual friends, right? People that I have a rapport with. I don't want them wasting money because Google has to take out 30% of it, right? If they want to donate a little bit to help my channel and help the Great Debate community, and they feel like they want to donate, $5 to PayPal, great. I mean, because I live on this stuff, that's fine. That's one of the reasons I have a channel. But I feel bad if they're gonna. I've had people, put $100 in Super Chat, and like $30 has already gone to Google, and these are my friends' money, and I'm like, no. I mean, if it's a stranger, I'm a little bit less whatever. I'm like, it's nobody that I really know. But for somebody that I know to give that kind of money and have it wasted, I don't know.
I mean, Steve,
I'm looking at it completely wrong. I probably shouldn't care that much, but I do.
Part of the problem I've noticed with Super Chat is that say you donate, you do $2, that's 50. It's 50 50 characters only. $5, 150. So. That's what's annoying about Super Chat. Is if you have a really long answer or question, you gotta pay up to wazoo to ask it.
Well,
but that's kind of the thing, though, is that's how, obviously, because it's like the channel creator a long question, well, you're gonna have to just pay more. That's a simple thing. So that it provides kind of a prompting to where you go in and you click on the $2 thing, you start writing your message, and you're like, oh shit, I ran out of characters. I'll up it to $5. That's basic 101 marketing from Google.
Yeah, no, I don't have a problem with that. I really don't, because I agree with you. That is marketing, and that's smart.
I kind of do, but
we're the end users. That of course we don't like that, but as a marketing point of view, I think it's great. But here's the bigger picture. That's fine if you have like the Drunken Peasants, where you have 3,000-4,000 people watching, right? And people just throwing Super Chat, and you're never going to get your message out or question out when you have 1,000 people asking questions, right? But here,
definitely.
I have 54 people watching, which is a little light. Usually it's about 80 to 100, but it's still enough. It's manageable, right? If somebody wants to ask me a question, they don't have to pay me $2 to ask it. I'm interacting with them in real time. And I can actually read the questions, and I don't have to have that feature, right? And they make, oh my God, do you know what they made off their 24-hour shit? I mean, it was like $50,000 they made in Super Chat or something. I don't know. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's like, it's especially a channel like the Drunken Peasants can go on and be like, oh, I think that they even do. Like they'll go on to they'll do a live stream and say that any money made from this live stream will go towards this or that, and they'll even say like, we're gonna get this guy on this channel over here, or something for or something like that. And so they raise an insane amount of money doing live streams, and they probably would have gotten that much money anyway from just AdSense when it was
good.
working the way it was, when
Yeah.
it was good. So yeah, the live streams, like I said, the live streams now are the replacement that the adpocalypse has taken away.
Well, I'm kind of fortunate that because I have a lot of videos, I have like 500 plus videos. Each one only makes a small amount, but that adds up, right? So I'm going by bulk. So I have some residuals that doesn't affect me as much as it would somebody else, because the apocalypse really makes a difference on new videos more than anything else, right? But on residuals, people that just like trickle in and they watch something, I'm only relying on a certain amount per video anyways. And it's weird, but if you look at the numbers, there's a consistent amount of viewers on my channel every day. I could tell you tomorrow how many viewers I'm going to have. I could tell you tomorrow, what my AdSense is going to be, because it's just a consistent thing from YouTube. And the apocalypse, though, now, as you said, if I spend a week on a video and I put a video out and I only have a CPM of like 1 or 2, I mean, you're not going to make anything off of it. What you used to make,
and that pretty much just eliminates,
right?
And that eliminates any motivation to put quality into YouTube. And that's why, ever since the apocalypse, there's just, how many hours of video uploaded per day, and now most of it's crap because there's no incentive to make good quality.
Right, exactly.
It's something like 100 and something thousand hours of videos are uploaded every day to YouTube or something like that.
Oh, but there's also a billion users too, right? Literally, there's
there's the users to watch it, definitely. But you got that much hour, that much hours of video being uploaded per day. When for any channel of any prominence that makes a decent amount of money off of that gave decent incentive to go out and constantly better their videos, and now that's gone. So it's just like that same amount of footage is being uploaded regardless. It's just crap.
No, I think you're exactly right. And everybody's got their little niche, right? Every person I know, every personality I know, I could tell them about what their niche is and why they have an audience, right? And there's only so much market share to go around, and there's only so much ad revenue to go around. The way the ads work is that these companies buy blocks of time, right? And they say, look, we want to advertise this much. We want the best possible videos to get the most amount of impact, right? So they don't want to put a video on home improvement on something dealing with like, kids' toys, right? They don't. They want something that relates to the video that people are going to watch. But there's only so much to go around. So if you got a shitty video, right, they don't want to put the ad on that. They want to put it on the people that are having traffic, the people that are getting comments, the people that are getting likes and dislikes. Doesn't matter to them, really, by the way. Likes or dislikes, they don't matter. Somebody's watched the video. That's all they care about.
Yeah, the like-dislike ratio doesn't affect Google's algorithms as far as what you get in AdSense. It's just activity. And it's just activity on the video that they're looking for. Comments, likes, dislikes. Any activity is good, Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And,
but people think they're hurting the video maker by disliking it. I'm like,
no, that's just the opposite.
I know. I just,
and
you want to dislike my video? Go ahead.
Well, somebody bombed my video the other day, the one we did on what was on Euler's formula, right? And Euler's identity, right? Somebody actually took their time to put 100 dislikes on it.
What the hell?
How long that must have taken? 2 hours.
Well, why? Dislikes on it? It was a math. Never mind. Who cares?
I know. But somebody decided to bomb it. They had. I only know a handful of people that have that many sock accounts, but they put 100 dislikes on it, right? And all I did was just put on the comment, hey, a single person put 100 dislikes on it. So somebody knows. Okay, well.
Wait, hold on. Can you see who actually dislikes your video? No. Like I don't know. I never really looked. Oh, well.
But I mean, all that time was wasted. All you got to do is put a disclaimer in the beginning that says, "Hey, somebody with 100 sock accounts disliked this video 100 times." To Google, they don't give a shit. That video got promoted now.
Yeah.
So fine.
So if someone has that many accounts, unless they have that many computers that are logged into those accounts. That means they had to take the time to go through every account and find that and search for your video, find it, and dislike it.
Well, no. See what you can actually do. You can just switch between accounts. You know what I mean? If you
Yeah, but
if you
it
go.
takes time to do that, and it's not.
Well,
as
yeah,
easy.
I know, but he's just saying that yeah, you need to have like 100 computers. I don't know. Maybe
No,
I heard him
what he
wrong.
was saying was if you do not, which most people don't, then
Oh,
you
yeah,
Yeah, if you do, yeah, if you just have one computer, then yeah, you can switch accounts pretty easily.
Yeah, I
But
misheard you.
every time you switch an account, you have to search for that video, click on that
no,
video,
actually, you
and
don't.
dislike that
You
video.
don't.
Well,
You
yeah, it
don't.
depends.
Oh, actually,
Wait, hang on. It depends because sometimes when you change accounts, it still keeps you on the video. But sometimes you
Yeah.
actually, when you change the account, you have to go find the video again. So it is a pain in the ass. Because I have a couple sock accounts. As
That's
people
never
know now.
happened
I
to
didn't
me.
have them back before, but I do now because of the flat Earth crap. But because they keep blocking.
well, man, I have a couple accounts just because I got a this is pretty much my main account where all my main YouTubers I'm subscribed to, Patreon
this is
to,
my main
all
account,
that stuff. This is my main account. But I have I own a business and that has its own YouTube account for videos that I do for that, and then
It's like
I have
Do you have a channel?
what's that?
Do you have a channel?
Nothing much of anything really. Most videos I upload to my business is like I'm a master tech for a company I own, and so I'll do a video on like how to do a specific electrical thing on a vehicle or something like that, and just short little videos like that.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll do this with you when we have our future hangout coming up. Maybe hopefully soon. If I can convince you to at least maybe not agree per se, but to where you understand it, you'll become a patron on my channel for $1 a month. There you go. That's how that works. I'm cheap.
Okay.
$1 a month. I'm happy with people. No, I mean I'm not. I'm fucking with you. I'm just totally fucking with you. But no, but seriously, I mean I do want to have those upcoming hangouts. And speaking of which, the Ozzy has said numerous times, and he said it earlier, but it got passed up. He wants to have a off-air talk with Logic on this, and I think Logic, when I brought that up to him, said that's fine. Could you kind of facilitate that? Did you are on better terms with Logic, or you have? I mean, I can contact him all the time, anytime, but we let him know that Ozzy wants to have like a little one-on-one, and they just kind of kick it between the two and talk.
Sure. I mean, I think
He respects Ozzy.
Yeah. He definitely respects Ozzy, but it's just like, just in the heat of the moment, he was just like, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, he just kind of brushed it off. But I think he's totally open to something like that. Especially if it's off air, I think he'd be way more open to that.
Yeah.
He kind of has he kind of has a little bit of aversion, I think, to doing live streams just because he's never done them before, and I totally get that. I mean, I watch I watch Magog all the time, right? And when he went live, he was awkward as it gets because he was just like, "Oh man, this is just totally different when you go live."
It is.
And it's not like anything like doing an offline stream. There's just a mental thing where it's just like, "Oh, I'm offline. I can say whatever. I can mess up and just be like, oh, oops,"
Can I confide in you? You guys know a little bit a secret? This is true. I don't know what it is.
Would it be a secret if it's said here?
Well, no, because it's a secret now, but it won't be after I tell you.
Okay.
Maybe somebody who knows about psychology can tell me why it is. But when we go live, when we're on air and we're having conversations, it doesn't bother me in the least. I mean, I am fine with it. I make faux pas. I mispronounce words. I say some really stupid shit that I go, no, that's not what I meant. I'm fine with that, though, right? I really am. I don't care. We all, I think, make mistakes. We all mispronounce words. Doesn't bother me. But when I'm doing a recording, I will do that fucking recording 50,000 times. Make sure it's right.
So I'm definitely not a psychologist or anything like that, but the topic in itself does interest me, so I've looked into it, and because I know people who are just absolute polar difference from me. Me being here on this live stream doesn't bother me at all. I can mispronounce words. I don't get embarrassed or anything like that. I pretty much I can.
I think I'm like the same way.
Yeah, I can talk this shit and not have a problem. I don't care who's listening. I will voice my opinion regardless of who's listening, and I'm like that. But I know people who are absolutely terrified of talking in even a small group of people, and it's just like, yeah, why are you that way? And they don't know. And so, yeah, I've looked into the psychologist stuff, and it really is. It's just like, I think it has a lot to do with how you're brought up. You know, your social circles and stuff has somewhat to do with it. It also could just be just a trait, really. Yeah, it's just like you can look back. Yeah, a quirk. You could look back in the family lineage and just kind of see that. Oh, just kind of like your parents were kind of like that too, and your grandparents were kind of like that too. They just weren't.
Well, that's why I use a computer voice. On most of my videos, I've actually found a voice. I found the right settings, and it actually sounds really good now. So I do a computer voice because that way it's not me. If you watch my welcome video, if you haven't been to the actually Great Debate welcome video yet, it's only like a minute and a half long. Watch it, but it's a computer voice, and I like that better. I don't like recording my own voice. It drives me fucking nuts.
Well, and there's that too. I think I read an article on it a little while back, earlier this year, on why some people don't like their own voice, especially like you record your own voice, and then obviously if you're making a video, you have to listen to yourself multiple times, edit, cut, and do all this stuff. And to some people, they just can't do that. They absolutely hate their voice when it's put into a video and played back to them.
Yeah,
I used to be like
it's
I used
just
to be like that, but it's not so much anymore. What bothers me, it's not that listening to my voice doesn't bother me. It is the recording itself. When I'm being recorded and it's not live, for some reason, to me, it's different than when you're just being on live, which is being recorded too. So I don't know why there should be a difference. But in my mind's eye, if I'm just doing recording that's off air and I'm reading something or whatever, if I get one thing wrong, I start over from the beginning again. That's why I don't put out many videos, or I use someone else's voice.
Yeah, that could be some type of just psychological thing where it's just kind of it's your mind to be talking to something that's not a person, and so when you're live on air, you always know that an actual person is listening. You know
what? You might have a point there. Well, you know what? I'm actually going to start becoming a solipsist anyway. Solipsist, anyways. You guys don't exist to me. I'm the only one that does. So no, I'm just kidding.
prove you exist.
Yeah, exactly. External. Yeah, screw you all. But no, you might have a good point there. Yeah, because I like conversations. I like dialoguing. So if I'm talking to you like right now, I know that I'm having a conversation with somebody. When I'm reading into a microphone with a script, I'm not dialoguing with anybody.
Well, sure. And that's some people have an aversion to that, but someone like me, I don't really have an aversion to that. I think I have kind of like a quirk, I guess you could call, or maybe it's just my mind set up. Most of the work I do every day, I'm totally alone by myself, so I listen to streams a lot, and I will like debate in my mind ideas, and so like me talking to myself per se in front of a camera does not bother me at all. That's not a problem, but for some people it is a great problem. Like you're sitting there reading from a paper to a camera. That's kind of weird. You're talking to an inanimate object.
So, Nathan says, if you're imagining me, then you're one sick motherfucker, Steve McRae. And I'm like, neither I do, and I am.
Well, as for me, every time I try to record a video, I stutter too much, and I'm like, screw this, and stop making it.
Well, you know what? If you get the right computer generated voice, it's not too bad. But the one I'm using, I had to hunt for it. I had to really search for it and play with the speeds, and so I like the way it sounds now. Before, my first time I used it, it was kind of harsh. People were complaining it was a little slow, and I agreed with them. So,
which one do you recommend? I mean, maybe
I'll send it to you.
All right, thanks.
Using it because again,
yeah.
But I mean, did you watch the welcome video? Did I?
No, I didn't.
What is it?
I don't think
Steve,
I have.
I don't stalk your channel.
I don't make my own videos. I mean, they get like
I don't stalk your channel. I'm sorry.
Right, and that's if it's lucky. Why would I make my own video that gets like a 500 or 1,000 hits when I could do a hangout that would get like 5,000?
But yeah. If you can give me that voice, maybe I could just actually make a video and then see if people like it. I don't know.
Just watch the Welcome to the GDC video. It's a minute and a half.
Is that just posted up on this channel?
Yeah, it's on my like for new users when it comes up.
Check it out. Yeah, when I subscribed to your channel a while back,
that video that's there. That's it.
Yeah, I just thought the whole channel was for live stream, so I just subscribe and then turn on notification stuff. So every time a live stream comes through, live stream, listen to the live stream. But I've never like gone to your channel and like, oh, has he made videos? You know, I didn't think he did that.
No, I'll tell you what, because I have so many, I'll toss you just a few. My videos are not long and they're cheesy as fuck, but they make a point.
No, I'm problem with that. My videos are, I don't get embarrassed, so it's kind of just like, I don't like them.
Okay, I'm going to find it because obviously I've been to your channel before.
Have you officially joined the GDC? I think you did, right, Marcos?
I did. At least I submitted an application.
Yeah,
I haven't like been notified if I officially joined or not.
We did the background check. NSA, CIA, NASA.
Clean. I'm clean. I got top security clearance. So
you're officially not a flat earther, so that's good.
The introduction video. You have a lot of them. 2 months ago.
Oh, we got to get you in. We are good. By the way, we have some flat earthers lined up. I think I'm working on.
I love debating flat earthers. So
I am definitely bringing you in for that. We got a couple.
There's this one I'm debating right now on Facebook, and oh my goodness! So not only is this person a flat earther, a nuclear power denier, and a modern medicine denier. So they're like into the whole homeopathy, nukes or nuclear power, and the Earth is flat.
So how does he explain the fact that I actually literally, and I mean like literally, was about 6 feet away from a reactor core most of my Navy career? Because
if you bring up anything like that, you're obviously a paid government shill, and you've been paid to lie.
Oh,
what's mind-boggling?
Do I still get paid because they owe me then?
I get accused all the time. I'll have these debates, and it very quickly deteriorates into obviously you're paid by the government and stuff. I'm like,
there you go.
No, see,
I wouldn't mind some of this money.
But let me ask you, Marcus. I mean, okay, there's no way you can tell because we all have our epistemic limit. But do you really think this guy is legit, or do you think he's a Poe?
There is a lot of people that are just trolling. What I'll do is, someone posts something to the debate groups I'm in, a direct question that, pretty much if they're a troll, it'll be obvious in their answer whether they are. And, I'll have a whole series of questions, and pretty much I don't start really debating someone until I've gone through this whole questionnaire thing and they're like genuinely serious about it. And I'm like, okay, well, send me the information that you have, and they start sending me like actual articles and stuff. Okay, obviously you're serious about this.
Well, I tell you what. Now that you've found my channel and the Great Debate community, now you have a place to go where you can actually engage these people in real time, 24 hours a day. Because there's another. Because this is my main channel, but we have another channel that I have different managers run, and I can even make you a manager. I have no problem with that. You just have to go, just know the rules, which are not that bad. And you could start your own hangout anytime to talk about flat Earth with somebody. And I have a lot of people that can do this if you don't want even to do that. But I tell you what, these live things with flat earthers are so much more entertaining than written conversations with them. Trust me.
Well, yeah.
Oh, sure, definitely.
Also, Steve, is that the video? It's like a minute.
Yeah, it just says welcome.
Yeah, welcome to the Great Debate community.
Yeah, listen to that one and tell me if the voice is okay for you.
Yeah, afterwards I'll do that because like I said, if you can give me a good voice that people like, I'll stop making videos.
Yeah, I'll get with you later on that, but you can't use that voice because mine. But
all right.
That voice is copyrighted at midnight. You can't use that one.
I don't mean it's not mine literally, but since when I found it and I know where to, I know what software generates that, You know, I want that to be recognized with my channel. That's all. Everything I do is for a reason. It's all branding. So.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I suppose, if two people use the same, I don't know. Well, I'll see, I'll see the voice and then see what application uses it and tweak.
Yeah, there's other voices available. It's pretty decent.
Yeah, I'll have to go check it out. I'm on mobile now, so it's kind of like if I go check that out, it's going to interfere with my streaming quality here.
Yeah, no worries,
Yeah.
no worries.
But
This was supposed to be a
later.
debate thing, but obviously that didn't happen. So I had to explain why there was no debate this morning and show people that Nephilimfree. By the way, you know who Nephi is, right? Marcus, do you know who Nephi is?
I've just heard. I haven't seen his stuff, but I've heard about him a lot. I think a whole bunch of YouTubers that I subscribe to talk about him.
Yeah, I had
actually gone to his channel and watched some stuff other than just the response videos and whatnot.
Yeah,
I've had encounters with him before.
We had actually asked him, well, did Steve ever tell you the guy we wanted you to debate? And he's like, no, he didn't. Basically, like, no, he didn't tell me. And I'm like, the first thing I told him was the people I wanted him to debate. So I was like, come on, it was ridiculous. So who are some of the YouTubers that you, not the good ones, not the people that we probably will agree on. Who do you think are the most fucking retarded ones out there? And I'll tell you if I agree with you and if we've engaged with them before.
Well, I mean, Venom Fang X is a gold mine. Every video he posts.
Now, again, I know he's not a Poe, dude. I get that, right? But Jesus, do you think that he actually goes out of his way to say stupid shit?
I don't think he goes out of his way to say stupid shit. I think, and again, just a few years ago, I used to be ultra religious, like not even a Christian. I became a Kiraite, and so I can look back and see where the mindset comes from, where you go online and whatnot, and you just start saying stuff that you genuinely believe is a logical argument, and just when seen from an actual, it's just like, God, that's awful.
I mean, this says Venom Fang X is obvious troll, and I gotta wonder. He does seem to have a lot of trollish qualities, and if I didn't know better, if I didn't know who he was for the period, long period of time, I would have to say, yeah, this guy is probably more likely just a complete troll that doesn't buy any of this bullshit. But he does actually believe this shit.
I would say he does believe this stuff.
Because you told me you were a Kiraite before and you explained it, but you probably explain it better than I can. So,
you want me to explain now?
Yeah. Somebody had asked.
Well, yeah. So what happened to me was, I was a pretty hardcore Baptist Christian, and started to become critical of the legitimacy of the New Testament. And a Kiraite is pretty much when you start looking into the actual to the New Testament, and you kind of discover that there's so many contradictions and false scripts in it, and you start looking into the origin of where these letters came from and stuff that make up the New Testament, and you come to the realization that the New Testament is a fraud. It is a fraudulent document compiled by a Roman emperor, and that's just history. It was compiled by the Roman Emperor Constantine. So Kiraites reject the legitimacy of the New Testament entirely and rely the Torah, which is the Old Testament, and pretty much
the books of Moses.
The New Testament
Do they really talk about
bonkers.
the Book of Moses?
I'm sorry, what's that?
So they really go back to the Book of Moses.
Yeah. Kiraite goes back to the Book of Moses and the actual Old Testament law. So like the whole no eating bacon kind of law, that's really how extreme that's how extreme I got.
So you didn't eat locusts, and you didn't do a lot of the Levitical code type shit, right?
Yeah. So like eating codes, the living codes, keeping the Sabbath kind of thing. I mean, they're just the whole 9 yards, and came that extreme because it's like, oh shit, the New Testament is a fraud. Go back to the Torah, and then it was only just a matter of time because I just applied the exact same criticism to the Old Testament, start looking into it, and
but I mean, like, you just wake up one day and say, I don't believe this. I mean, obviously that didn't happen that way.
No. So it was years of research. I think I was probably researching, 2 years than just the original text of the New Testament before I came to just a natural realization of, okay, well, this is obviously crap, and then went back to the Torah, and then it was like another year or so until I had done enough research on that to really just come to the realization of, I don't even believe this anymore. There's so many contradictions that it just can't be true.
How did you compartmentalize it when you did find? I mean, when you're really heavy into it, and you said, "Oh, look, okay, this just doesn't make any sense. This can't be right." How did you compartmentalize that, or did you just say, "You know what? There's probably an answer, and I'll get to it later"?
Yeah. So it was just kind of like, there's, you see something that's a little bit off, and you're like, well, there's probably a logical explanation for it. I'll look at the original text and I'll come back to it later, and so you just kind of start looking through the whole thing. And then by the time I had looked through a majority of the Torah and the Old Testament scripts and stuff, it was literally almost like a moment where just something clicks and you have a moment of clarity where you're just like, holy cow, this doesn't compute anymore. And
But do you think you
at
became
that point,
or do you think you went through a agnostic period?
I would say I at that point I had just become an atheist. I wasn't like into I'll question this. I had done enough research into the text where when I came to that moment of realization, I was just like, I think I'm actually ready to just let go of all of this and just be done with it.
Gotcha.
Now, look, for me, I've told this many times, but I was never a believer. I just, I went to Sunday school with the communion and confirmation, and I'm like, yeah, I don't really care. It's never stuck with me. So I'm agnostic atheist now.
No, I mean, I was a theist at one time. There's no question about it.
I never was,
but my theism was basically based upon subjectivity. It wasn't based on evidential arguments. It wasn't based upon philosophical arguments.
Pushed on me too hard.
But I'm okay with that. See, I'm a non-evidentialist, so I think there are ways to have beliefs that are not predicated on strictly evidence, right? I think that you can have justification for having beliefs due to other things like credentialism or pragmatism. But of course, we like to have evidence, no question about that. So yeah, Opal's like, I
think one of the reasons that I was able to just make the switch much more easier than other people is probably because when I was raised as kind of, I guess you could kind of say, like an evidentialist Baptist Christian, where the argument was that the evidence is on the Christian side. No, like there's solid evidence. It was all evidence-based kind of thing, but it was, it was kind of like as soon as you actually start questioning the evidence, then you kind of get directed somewhere else. No, come on, look at this kind of thing.
Right? They probably didn't want you questioning things, right? Correct?
Yeah, no, they don't. They
definitely. As soon as you. Oh, go ahead.
Well, no, I just wanted to ask you if you ever heard of Theremin Trees, this YouTube channel that I've been watching a lot of his videos, and he does very good videos. I mean, I'm gonna promote his channel, but he talks about the religion and okay, now sorry, I don't mean to offend anyone out there who's religious, but he talks about the evils of religion and just accepting things without questioning, and the scare tactics they use when you do question. And I mean, there's just a lot of his stories that he's for him.
I like his little cabinet video.
Yeah, the cabinet video. I was like, wait.
Yeah, I watched his video on the cabinet and the instruction manual, and I gotta tell you, I thought that the imagery, the metaphorical content was spot on.
Yeah, I love that guy. He just I've been watching a lot of his videos lately. I don't want to. Okay, does it matter? Spoilers? I don't know.
I
put it out there. That wants to go watch this. Go watch Themin Trees.
I've never heard of him. Can you guys put a link?
Yeah, hang on a sec.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, it's the first time I've heard him.
Yeah, he's definitely good.
I tried to watch.
I've watched.
But it's hard.
I saw this.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say that a couple years ago when I became an atheist, I watched this guy's series, and it's been a couple years, so I can't remember his channel name, and it's gonna bug me now. But there was this guy on YouTube. He did this whole series of his deconversion from Christianity.
That's 43 Alley.
Was that 43 Alley?
Yeah.
I think you're talking about Todd Wood, actually.
Oh, really?
It might have been. It might have been 43 Alley.
How creation science taught me how creationism taught me about science or something like that. That series?
No. So the series, I believe, was something along the lines of just it was a pretty much his personal testimony of his deconversion. So it was something like just his deconversion for Christianity.
Was it
was a whole
animated?
series. No, it was actually him talking.
Oh, I don't remember
just
43
in front of a
was
camera.
animated or not.
But it might have been 43. I really can't remember. Like I said, it's been a couple of years, and it'll bug me. I'll remember at some point here. But
Curious.
anyway,
Yeah,
he did a.
Okay. Sorry.
He just did a great series, and on how when he deconverted, he reached a point that really had a very serious mental effect on him, because he was brought up not so much respecting evidence. Yeah, his beliefs were kind of more just like you believe it under an authoritarian kind of thing. So when he realized it, it really affected him.
People
Yeah,
have a
I
hard
wish I
time
could
understanding
remember
that
for
they've been lied to. And again, I'm not talking about theology as far as theism as a whole, right? I mean, I'm not advocating God doesn't exist or anything like that. When I say lied to, when they've been told that animal speciations today come from the ark, there's a great flood.
Yeah.
That's all bullshit. I don't give a shit what the hell religion you believe in. That is a scientific bullshit.
It
Yeah, I know.
totally
But
is.
see, a lot of people, hold on. A lot of these religious people tell the atheists or other people, non-believers, you're mad at God. Well, no, we're mad at people for lying to us. God has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I absolutely understand that. Like I said, when I kind of deconverted, it didn't have a serious mental effect on me or anything. I wasn't like shocked, but by the time I got to that point, I understood it so well that I was just like, okay, I have the evidence now to let go of this belief.
Yeah.
But then I did kind of go into like the angry atheist mode, where I was like pissed that I was lied to my whole life.
Oh,
Well,
God.
I mean, that's natural.
Just like,
that's natural.
yeah, that's natural. So I totally understand.
Yeah, atheists
Yeah,
stop doing that. Trust me, it doesn't help anybody when they become an angry atheist.
Can I
yeah,
interject for a
it
moment?
definitely doesn't. But I can totally understand why
Yeah,
I just want to say, I just want to say, I love hearing your guys' deconversion stories or whatever, because I grew up in a pretty secular background. So when I was young, I was kind of like, maybe God's real or not. Then I'm like, nah, it's not. So I never had that, and it seems the people that actually did have a deconversion seem to think about it a lot deeper than I do.
And I would never say that I deconverted. That probably isn't a term that I would use for myself because I'm an agnostic on it. But I think you're right though. People like myself, we like to think about these things. I want my beliefs to be rational. I want them to comport with reality. I think Marcus seems to be the exact kind of way. We want to know truth. We don't want to be irrational thinkers, right? If somebody gives us a rational conversation and something to think about, we're like, yeah, you know what? Let's ponder that. Maybe I want to think about this. But we also go point out bullshit when we have an irrational argument. And I'm not talking something we don't understand, because that's what I find. I think most people will reject an argument they don't understand outright as either being erroneous or irrational without understanding what the argument actually is. And that's a bad mistake to do. But there are some arguments that I can look at and go, these are just not good arguments, right?
Oh, sure. And that it's always something I have to keep myself in check when I'm talking to someone and they present an argument that I haven't heard before, or I don't have any knowledge of, and I have to kind of make sure that I just stop myself and don't be like, oh no, that's a crap argument. I actually look into the argument beforehand, and example of this would be one of my parents shared a video with me of this guy claiming that he cured cancer with superfoods. You know, that the whole homeopathy
It's
thing.
dangerous.
And yeah, and I know right off, just because of the very, very minute amount of medical knowledge I have on cancer. I was like, that doesn't sound right. So I actually spent, like the other day, I spent probably 6 or 7 hours just going through articles and stuff about the science behind it, and then looking into the guy making the claim. And I came back with these articles, and I'll put it this way: it didn't go down well with them, but I pretty much and could come back with actual evidence behind it and say, no, this is crap, and this is why, and it wasn't received too well.
No, I get that. No, I totally get that. Well, we had a similar thing in our community. We obviously get exposed to a lot of arguments in our community.
Sorry.
And there was an argument that recently got brought up that it's been around a while, but it was called Photo's argument on natural selection. And I'm not going to go into the details on it because it's very, very, very nuanced and complex. But basically, people that had never heard it before were dismissing it outright as, oh, you're saying this, let me show you evidence against that. And the whole thing was, no, what you're showing us evidence for is not the actual argument, because they didn't know enough about the argument to understand what the argument entailed. And it's not a bad argument. Actually, it's a pretty legit argument.
Oh, hey, Barney. I didn't see you there.
But when
He's there twice.
Yeah, his mic's probably not working again. But when you first hear it, or you don't understand the nuances of it, you will dismiss it outright, especially if you're a biologist. And so every biologist was like, oh, that's complete crap. But it wasn't really a biological argument. It was a philosophical argument.
Yeah, it wasn't. That was the whole problem with that, because Frodo is arguing from a philosophical standpoint, and you can't use qualitative evidence to debunk quantitative evidence. I did a whole video rant on how disproving a scientific mechanism doesn't negate a theory. And and
I agree. And he didn't disprove the mechanism. He was saying that the mechanism can't account for what it's supposed to do. Right?
Yeah, but he didn't provide any qualitative. I mean, it was just, like I said, it was a philosophical argument.
Yeah, totally, right? Yeah, exactly. But he never said natural selection doesn't happen, right? That was the big thing.
No, he didn't. He didn't say
that. He's like, oh yeah, of course natural selection is true. Hell, it's trivially true. But that wasn't his argument. So everybody was like, oh, look at all this evidence for natural selection. And I kept trying to explain to people, that's not what he's arguing. So yeah, you got to like be a little bit more open to what the argument actually is, and not jump on it assuming that somebody's going to be wrong outright. You know, I mean, it's not like a flat earther coming up to you and say, hey, look, here's my argument that the earth is flat, and they tell you some bullshit thing. I can tell you right now, every one of their arguments is going to be wrong, but because obviously the conclusion is wrong. So if the conclusion is wrong, the argument has to be definitely wrong.
But what if they have?
You broke up. What?
Oh, I said, but what if it's all their feels and stuff? Doesn't that count?
I still didn't hear him. Is he breaking up for you guys?
He said, what about?
Yeah, he's breaking up.
Yeah, what about their feelings?
Oh, their feelings.
They feel the Earth is flat. Can't they be evidence?
I got to tell you, I'm not somebody into the touchy feel good. I'm here to make you feel better kind of thing. It's not my thing. I don't care if a flat earther feels like shit because he's an idiot. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't either.
No, but I find it
now
better.
No, you're still breaking up.
You're still breaking up.
I find it fascinating that people can hold these beliefs in their head due to their feelings, despite the evidence that they can actually successfully reject the evidence for themselves. And that's kind of why I've joined this community, to find out how they can hold these things, how they can go through a complete conversation without hitting a point of dissonance that would just break their mind.
I know it's a lot of compartmentalization going on. That's for certain, right? And then I notice a lot of people just accept things, you know, as a fiatist position where they just accept things on faith. Now, I mean, I haven't gotten to the point where I think that's a dishonest position. I know I've had conversations with certain people in the community that are pretty hip in philosophy that think it is a dishonest position.
What's a dishonest position?
Details on that, but I mean, I don't know. I want to hear arguments on that one way or another, whether it's a dishonest position or not. I can see it going either way. I mean, I might next week go, you know what, I think fetism is a dishonest position, and I'll invite Jade and Jade, Jade, explain to me why you think it's not a dishonest position, and I'll hear arguments on it. I could be swayed either way on it, to be honest with you, because that just means you're accepting it on faith. I mean,
but that's not a dishonest position. You cannot directly influence what you believe.
Well, yes and no. I mean, obviously, I am a dosastic involuntarist when it comes to that. But see, I mispronounce words all the time. Who cares? But yeah, but when you have a position that you solely have on faith alone, and I don't mean dishonest as in you're lying. That's not what I mean by dishonesty. Obviously, I mean Jade's a very honest person. It is an intellectually dishonest person that I have no justificatory reason to hold that particular position, right? I mean, what is my reasons that I have that belief? Why is it substantiated? If I just say, you know what, I'm willing to say, you know what, I don't really have a good reason for this. I just believe because of faith, and that's kind of what a fetus does. It says, I don't have any good reasons for this. I accept it on faith. Is that intellectually dishonest to do that? I don't know.
You mean insincere in pursuit of truth?
Well, okay, look, someone being intellectually dishonest. Hold on. I mean, there's being dishonest. Like in everyday life, so somebody lies to. Good question, actually.
Well, you got to remember, when we use certain words, most of us have been in the Great Debate community for a long time. We know what we mean by it. When I say dishonest, very few people get the idea, oh, that person's lying, unless they're new to the community or they're clown car posse, right? Because they don't understand how words are used in general, right? So all they hear is, oh, dishonest. You're calling me dishonest. No, we're not. Oh, by the way, Marcus, have you been to the page on the clown car posse yet? If not, you really need to.
The page where?
On the wiki that I sent you to show you like the hangout sniping, there's also the Clown Car Posse members there.
No, I just went to the page and read some stuff on like the whole thing with the hangout sniping, but I didn't see. I wasn't paying too much attention to other things there.
Oh, that's a pretty big wiki. It's growing. It has a ways to go, long ways to go. It's relatively new, but we are putting a lot of effort into writing entries for everybody. Like you name a person that you know that's popular on YouTube that has something to do with the Great Debate or whatever. I mean, they're going to get a page.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the Clown Car Posse page goes back to stories, going back a while. We kind of like retconned it. There's just stuff we can't make up. I mean, these are all true stories. People believe this stuff. These events actually happened. So this is a documented thing of the fuckery that we have to deal with.
Hey, Steve, can I ask you a question? Because I was going to tackle this, but totally off topic.
Awesome.
You know the creationists claim that koalas got to Australia by being blown out of a volcano?
Absolutely.
I wanted to do the equations to show how that's total bullshit. But I was wondering if you would Newton work for that? I think it would.
Yeah, I think so. You just
that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Wait,
no, throwing
you never heard that?
Just use kinematic. No. All you have to do is parabolic equations, and you could probably do that pretty easy.
Okay. Would they get out of orbit, though, is the question.
Well, think about this, though. I mean, it depends how pedantic you want to get. First, you got to, think of the structural integrity of the koala.
Yeah,
right?
It's going to be dead on.
Right.
Before it even gets off the ground.
It's going to be like what Kim Jong does with his dissenters. He ties them to artillery guns and then shreds them. It's going to be gone. But the other thing is, what trajectory would you have to get in order to get it over to Australia without putting it into a low orbital situation, right?
Yeah.
So that would be. Yeah. I don't know much about orbital mechanics besides just the average Joe that's had physics. But you might be able to get in touch with like rhetoric. He might be able to help you with that.
I mean, he probably would. Yeah. I mean, guys all know I'm a geologist, but I had 2 minors, math and physics. So that's where you see the random math videos all the time. And I notice flat earthers never comment on my math ones.
Oh,
Probably because it's
math is a bane of flat earthers.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, look, Steve can attest it. Hang on.
Hey, since your thing is geology, we might have to get like Nephi in one of these days. There's some geological things that I still haven't resolved with him yet.
Oh, I would love that because Fino keeps mentioning moon bukkake, and I'm not sure what he means by that.
Oh, what that is? It's called the lunar bukkake theory. What that theory was Nephilimfree. Let's just say it outright. Nephilimfree doesn't understand physics. He gets pissed off. He's like, Steve, well, you owe me an apology for saying that I
I'll
don't
be right
know.
back.
Okay.
That you don't know something. He's like, Steve, you're telling people I don't know anything. Yeah, Nephi, you don't know shit. Straight up, don't know shit. I'm never going to apologize for that because that is the gone honest freaking truth. But
Well, if you ever get him on and I'm around, I'll be more than happy to rip.
oh
him to
fuck
pieces.
yeah, awesome. But he has this theory, and he doesn't understand concepts like enthalpy or anything like that. And he thinks that the fountains of the deep opened up, and all that water shot out and exploded with so much force that it ended up going into outer space, freezing, and then hitting the moon, and that's what created the craters of the moon.
You know what happens to water when you put it in outer space? Especially if you do it incrementally,
yeah,
it boils away.
The pressure is so low that it's basically become a gas at that point.
Yep, exactly. Does he know that? Probably not.
No.
Yeah, I mean, water is only a liquid under atmospheric pressure, and
Right.
that's not the craziest thing I've ever heard. Like, much more crazy ideas that are out there, especially with regards to like the flood and such. Like how the animals got back to Australia was because volcanoes blew up and launched them back.
I thought it was a land bridge.
Yeah, and I noticed that when we discovered that there's a decent amount of water in the mantle, that creationists grabbed on that, but they don't understand it's not molecular water. There's no caverns. It's nothing like that. It's bound up in hydroxide.
Ringwoodite? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. They don't understand that stuff. And
you could have stopped it. They don't understand, and you could put anything in that. No, it's pretty bad. I mean, that water's like 400 miles below the fucking surface too. But I want people that are experts in, or at least knowledgeable about geology. But the reason being is geology is straight up my weakest scientific area. I know less about geology than I do any other field because I never really looked into that much, and so I have a weak spot there. So I need other people to fill that in.
I'm going to give you a quick test to see if you know a lot about geology, Steve.
I don't know shit about you. I just said I don't know.
Dude,
you can tell me where rock is. I'm like, I have no idea. No what?
Is there math in geology?
Well, yeah. I mean, you have pressure.
Yeah. See, so you know a lot.
You have,
I mean, you know more than crazy.
I know the different types of rocks, like metamorphic and igneous, and I mean, I have a freaking high school level education, but I don't know anything beyond that.
That's probably really all you need.
Speaking of geology, Steve, have you ever heard of a guy named? He's got a channel called Cody's Lab.
Yeah, that does sound familiar.
No, I don't.
Does he do experiments and blow things up and shit?
No. He's a geologist, and so he's got a lot of videos about a lot of stuff. But some of the stuff he does, like on his property, he has a mine, like an actual abandoned gold mine that he's actually mining further.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be
so
cool.
Like he does his own blasting in it and stuff, and then like tears rocks apart and shows you how to extract minerals and different stuff out of them and the layers of rock stuff.
I would like to get. I mean, it's not that I don't have an interest in the subject. I do. I would like to get a tumbler. I love doing. I never been like spelunking per se, but I mean, I have been in caves and. I like to go, in the wilderness, and I like to go in the desolate part of reality and see what kind of flora and fauna is out there, right?
Yeah, he's got some pretty neat stuff. He's a real young guy, and I think he's out in oh goodness,
got to be out west somewhere up north.
Yeah, it was like Arizona or something, like desert country, pretty much, because like his whole property is just like desert mountainous area, and he's got this mine on his property that he goes and works in, and it's pretty neat.
Cool.
That's pretty cool. I own land in the UP, and there's an old mine not nearby. Maybe if I find some native copper on my property, I'll send Steve some so he can go ooh and ah on it.
Ooh, I like to go ooh and ah. So, I mean, can I ask how much of a education you have in geology, or is that?
I only have a bachelor's, but I have a professional license.
Okay, so that's fine.
Yeah, you had to take tests, and like engineers can get professional engineering licenses. We can get professional. I actually have peer-reviewed papers, and I publish
And you
peer-reviewed
definitely
papers.
accept that the Earth is not flat. So that's good.
The Earth is not fucking flat. No.
You're just a paid shill, man.
Yeah, exactly. How much they paying you? Because you probably get paid more than I do for the government.
Steve, I think our shill checks, the Illuminati are keeping them because of the hurricane or something. I don't know. I didn't get mine this month.
I haven't got a shit, dude. Yeah, so that's
probably you created the hurricane, man. You need to stop using that harp.
You're going full on conspiratard.
It shows you the type of people I talk with.
I tell you what, maybe this weekend I have what's called rum and coke night, guys, and rum and coke nights getting to be pretty popular. And what it is basically I've been on a diet, so I can't really have rum and coke, but I get alcohol, and we all basically drink, and we basically the way I set it up is that I have what's called a flat cam, and we go over to Flat Earth channels, and they all know me. I mean, Pissy Pete and Drain, all these fucking guys know me. And we go over and we just ask them. We're real nice, right? We fuck with them, but in a very nice way. We just ask them questions, like, well, can you show us an actual model that works and explains, Mercury retrograde motion, and can you explain, a model that actually shows why the sun doesn't change angular diameter? And dude, we see how fast we get banned and blocked and just denigrated. It's great. It's fun. I'm telling you.
Oh, sure.
Sounds like fun.
Come join for that, because you guys would be perfect for that shit.
That sounds great.
There.
I had a little bit of a debate just like 2 days ago with a flat earther, and it degraded within 10 comments. It degraded from discussing whether or not it was a viable theory, and went right into, oh, you're just a paid government shill, blah, blah, blah. And the guy ended up blocking me and stuff. Just,
where do you go?
Yeah, that sounds about right. It takes about 2 seconds because, yeah.
Oh,
but it's a fun ride.
Yeah. No, it is. But I mean, okay. I have had conversations that I was the nicest fucking person in the world when the 10 minutes that I got blocked. And I was like, okay, what? I mean, that's no big deal to me, but it's just like, I know these people are trolling at that point. I have no interest in having a conversation with them. Oh, here's
it's.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Then I got to go.
Well, just when you start having a discussion with someone, you start catching wind that they are in fact a troll. Put any kind of just crazy conspiratorial crap out there, and there's. Much you talk to them or something, they'll never they'll never admit they're a troll, and two, you'll never get anywhere with anybody that way. So you gotta just be like, you're a troll, man, just not coming anymore.
Yeah, that's kind of what I do. Because I mean, I'm too busy between my Facebook, my G Plus, and Twitter, and everything else. I don't want to have conversations that I don't think are going to be productive.
Sure.
I just not waste my time. But Agrippa asked a great question about. Well, it's not a question, statement. But what do you think about Brown's hydroplate theory, dude? Steve?
Is that the thing that's similar to Steve Austin's catastrophic plate tectonic crap?
Yeah, very similar. And I got to tell you, I hope you agree. Steve Austin's probably.
Isn't that similar to Charles Hapgood's plate slippage thing as well?
Yeah, there's so many problems with that, and I could spend an hour going on that. Steve Austin's catastrophic plate tectonics, I know more in detail, and it's all arguing from authority because creationists love using that guy because he has a PhD, but it's just like, how does one get a solid plate down into the solid mantle down to the core at 2 meters per second? I would like to know the amount of energy that takes.
Magic?
I'm pretty sure it'd rip the earth apart.
It would probably liquidate at least the crust.
It doesn't.
There's a lot of energy.
Hey, it's all doable with the magic sky wizard.
Well, I tell you,
my favorite statement of the week so far has been that the Himalayas rose after the flood.
Oh, is that a C. Brown thing?
No, that was a combination of Mad Ecclesiastes and Jesus Saves and Arcane Logic.
Yeah, well, they're all in the same group. So
actually crazy. Well, actually, Matt's not. He's all right.
Well, here's here's what I think is funny. Most of them do not even evoke God, right? They don't even say God did it that way. But these theories they come up with, like when I asked Humphreys, I'm trying to get him. He won't come on yet, but I'm softening him up. But I am in communication with him for questions, and I've been asking him about rates and especially variable decays, right? That he has maintained through the rate program that decay rates have changed in the past, right? So I've asked him, I'm like, okay, you've claimed this, and every time I try to go find the evidence for this, and I don't word it this way, I don't word it hostile with him, but every time I look for the evidence for this, I have found nothing that supports this, nothing. And he keeps sending me back to his own works, and it keeps sending me back to these blogs and these other things. I'm like, look, I've read all these. These are just all assertions. I am looking for the evidence. And he's like, well, you're obviously familiar with the claim and you're familiar with the material. How have you not gone to where we've said go? And I'm like, because it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same. I had a flat earther try and tell me that Pythagoras was a flat earther. So that's someone that doesn't understand philosophy, doesn't understand history, and doesn't understand maths.
Not at all. But I mean,
yeah, pretty much.
Steve, do you see what I'm saying about that? Did you notice the creationists do that? When I'm asking him, can you show me the actual evidence that decay rates have changed? I've literally just got to run around.
Yeah, no, they do that, and they don't realize we've already looked at all this crap. I mean, all that stuff, if you printed it out, would fit into my Jeep, but
and it
they
says
don't.
Nothing.
I know, but God forbid they actually read a peer-reviewed paper, and it's all, it's all just.
I've asked him. Okay, well, I know the ISAR has admitted that they haven't overcome the heat problem yet, but I've asked him. I'm like, well, how do you overcome the heat problem? He's like, well, we have this theory and that theory. Okay, that's great. Now show me how you demonstrated that those hypotheses are even possible.
Yeah, but then you tear it apart. You tear their idea apart with math, and then you sit there and say math's evil.
Well, some do. I mean, obviously with Humphreys, he's a trained physicist, so I can actually, and talk to him.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know who he was.
Oh, Russell Humphreys.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Sorry, I thought you were just
I figured. Sorry, I just threw out his last name. Yeah, Russell Humphreys. I mean, this is his field. But when I'm asking him, look, I'd like to know, and I'm being very polite. I've talked to him for several months now. I've been in communication with him, and I've been very, very civil. He's going to come back in October, and we're going to try to get together. But I've asked him, like, how do you overcome things like changing of the speed of light? If you have obviously a variable decay rate, the fine structure constant is going to change. The speed of light's going to change. The electric and magnetic constants are going to change. So what happened? I mean, how do you now have atoms forming? How do you have fusion take place? How do you have fission take place? How do you have interactions? How do you overcome the Coulomb barrier? I had all these questions to ask him, right? And he's again saying, well, Steve, if you looked into this stuff, which you apparently have, how have you not seen our answers? I'm like, because they don't fucking exist.
Yep. I do want to say something about radioactive decay, though. Yes, we use it to date things, and yes, it works 100%. And there are things that will mess with the dates, but we are aware of these, and that's something else I've run into a lot with creationists. They don't know that we're aware of these.
He told me that too. He's like, well, there are other things that affect decay rates, and I was like, okay, I'm like, look, I'm well aware. I don't want to tell him that much about me, but I mean, I'm certainly not at your level or anybody who has an actual, massive education in this area. I'm just a layperson. But I told him, I said, I'm aware there's K capture, and I'm aware that's because of electron capture. You can have some small amounts of variance in certain isotopes, especially like beryllium. Some of these are because of the way the valence shells are set up. I totally understand that. It's about 2% on some things. Something's less, like 0.8. It's very nominal. But I'm like, I asked him, how do you use K capture to determine the variable decay rates for things like uranium or something? That's what I want to see. I want to see the physics that he has for that. But I just can't get anything out of him. Because they throw that out there, right? They say, look, well, we've determined that K capture can change decay rates. Okay, I agree with that. I've known that since 20 years ago. So what?
Yeah, and then, there's a reason why we don't use metamorphic rocks for radiometric dating. And you just mentioned one of them.
Well, and also with metamorphic rock, I mean, it only tells you the last time it was actually solidified, right?
Yep.
You can get different metamorphic events from just dating it, but you can't get the actual age of emplacement. Assuming a parent rock is even igneous, parent rock could be sedimentary, and then that's a whole different mess of problems.
What about inclusions?
Yeah. So
we can tell the direction of the magnetic poles.
Yes, you can get paleomagnetic data.
That's really cool.
Yes,
I want to get
that.
I mean, I might be able to get Snelling. Do you know who he is? Snelling is another. Snelling is
yes. Sorry, you broke up for a sec. I didn't know who you were talking to.
Yeah, Snelling seems Andrew Snelling, at least he seems reasonably enough to talk to. But yeah, Austin, I want to know. Maybe you can answer us this question. How is it that Steve Austin, who's a trained PhD in geology, was telling people that the pyroclastic flow from Mount St. Helens was similar to the sedimentary rock of the Grand Canyon? How, in my God, I am an idiot when it comes to geology, to what I think my level should be at. Okay, again, high school level. But even I know what a pyroclastic flow would be. And I mean, it's looking at fucking something that was developed in 2 weeks and comparing it to the formation, to the uplift and erosion of the Grand Canyon. How, as a PhD, you think make that kind of what the fuck?
It's total bullshit, and I don't want to answer for him and make any accusations because I'm not him. But I mean, I do know that his dissertation was very secular. So I don't know when he went. Yeah, I don't know when he made this transition or why. But yeah, the pyroclastic flow thing. I needed Sci-Strike's oven mitt for that.
I love Sci-Strike.
Yeah.
No, that's the problem. All these guys have legit.
Mount St. Helens, wasn't that a mud flow that created those banks, not the pyroclastic flow?
It was. I think it was both.
It was both. You had the pyroclastic, because Mount St. Helens, there wasn't a lot of actual lava that came out of it because it basically just exploded. Yeah. So it's mud and pyroclastic and ash. Yeah.
But he's oh my goodness. But yeah, I'm just flabbergasted that they throw this shit out there, and then what happens is people that don't know anything about science regurgitate it and parrot it because they think you said it is an appeal to authority.
I do have one lovely argument that I've used quite successfly on a number of occasions now.
What's that?
Which is fossilized burrows.
Okay, and
expand, elaborate.
So basically, you get obviously animals. Yeah, you get animals that burrow down. We find the complete burrow complex, but then we find loads of sediment sitting on top of it.
Oh, you're just talking about like in sedimentary sandstones of the Sauk sequence. Yeah. I mean, I have these in my basement. Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. I didn't know if you were talking about maybe, ones that landed in lakes and there's on ash or something like that. But yeah, and that's another thing about Steve Austin. He claims the Sauk sequence is all sandstone, and it's not. It's 75% carbonate rock. That's why we call it the Great Carbonate Bank.
So how come he doesn't get called out on this stuff?
I don't know. And it's weird in geology, like he's allowed to go to like GSA meetings and stuff, and this bullshit. But I mean, physicists don't allow those kind of people in. Chemists don't allow those kind of people in. Why are we letting this guy in?
I don't fucking know.
You know why he gets in? Because he is.
I want to know.
He's the $6 million man.
Oh, no,
it's a bad joke.
Yeah, it was bad.
Probably 30 years too late.
But you know what's funny is these guys, I think they're going to be. They're hyped to go out and say, "Oh, I'm being religiously persecuted against." Look what happened when he filed for the thing with the Grand Canyon, right?
Yeah, that. Oh God,
that was the same principle, right? He was not denied that because of his religious beliefs. He was denied that because the last permit he filed for, he didn't fulfill what he was supposed to do on it, and he was basically balking at it. And they said, no, we don't have to give you this. You didn't fulfill the last time. This is not for legit research. It has nothing to fucking do with his religion.
No, you're absolutely right. And people use that, and they like to go to places where you require permits. I mean, the Grand Canyon is obviously a well-protected place. I mean, you got to understand you need permits. And I've filled out local permits before for stuff like this, and they want to know like where you're going to be, especially if you're in a preserved area, what you're taking and all that, so you don't screw stuff up.
Absolutely, and I am fine with that.
I am too.
No, no. I mean, we should just let the masses in and just like carve away the banks and knock all kinds of shit down. Hey, who cares, man?
You know, graffiti and
Graffiti all over the canyon.
Pure science. Let every person in the world go prove it for themselves.
I think we should.
Going back to.
I think we should let Genesis build a museum there at the Grand Canyon.
who?
Right on top of one of the
museum
ledges there. Going back to Mount St. Helens for just a sec. I was raised with the solid belief that Mount St. Helens was proof that you could form rock in a matter of weeks, and that's how I was brought up. It was like, oh, see this, and there were so many documentaries by what is it, ICR, Answers in Genesis. All those organizations have their own documentaries and stuff. See, absolute evidence, and the rock is exactly the same as the Grand Canyon.
It's not. The Grand Canyon's mostly sedimentary. You can't. There's a problem with measuring sedimentary rates, but we can do carbonate rock, and the fastest we can ever get to precipitate carbonates out of solution is like 6 centimeters a year. So how do they explain the kilometers thick deposits in the Cambrian that are carbonate rock? They don't. They just say it's all sandstone and move.
Well,
along.
they also say there's no erosion. They say there's no erosion between the rock, and yet when I look at it, I look at the unconformities. What are they? The disconformities that have erosion?
No, angular unconformities. You can call them whatever you want. I mean, when most people think of unconformities, they think of the erosional type.
Yeah.
Diastems are just where there's missing time.
Okay, but either way, you can see that there has been erosion, and they're telling people, oh, there's been no erosion, therefore it's a relatively new thing. It's like, well, no, obviously there's erosion there.
Well, not only that, have you paleosoils off it? Even in the Precambrian, we didn't have because there were no land bacteria or whatever, but you can still see the oxidation of the rock, so you know that there was a huge gap of time.
You know, there was exposed atmosphere for a while.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, of course.
You all probably heard of the uphill theory, right? About the erosion in the Grand Canyon.
Is that the river? Is that
the river flowing up?
Yeah, that's where they take a altitude measurement and pretty much make the argument that there's no way that the river could have eroded the Grand Canyon because it goes uphill.
Oh, fucks. Yeah, I know
that. Is that just like Jeranism with his 6 4x4s trying to shoot a laser through them? Is that the kind of thing?
Yeah.
So it's you can go to you can go all the way to the one side of the Grand Canyon, take the altitude there on the top, and take the altitude, and the altitude of the land does slope up slightly from
land doesn't matter.
The top
it matters of the gradient of the river.
They make the argument that when all the land was there, there's no way a stream could flow because it goes uphill. Obviously it had to be a catastrophic flood that caused it and all that.
The
clue to the answer in that is in actually the name of the region they're standing on when they take the measurement.
Yes, the Colorado Plateau.
That's you ever get Eric back in here?
It's an uplift.
Eric's been busy with this whole fucking movie thing, and he has. See, I'm pissed because Eric had told me and Apologia that he would have a convo with us about this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Eric's been in before, and I said, hey, Apologia, he's writing you on his channel, and I think you should have a right to defend yourself. I'm trying to play it in his words. So that he respond to. I'm like, come on, and he's like, he'll say he'll engage Apologia, but now it's just like, no, he's like, I don't want to talk about it, kind of thing, and I'm like, this is your movie that you're putting out. This is your claims. Come on, man. But he won't. He's just a coward.
Yeah.
Maybe he's getting enough bad publicity already.
Well,
if he's getting investment in to make that movie, he is going to be under. You don't go and do silly things that can then be published.
He wants people to see the movie first and then be done with it.
Yeah, he wants to make bank before he takes on anybody. Probably. Yeah,
exactly.
I actually invited Eric on. I emailed him, but I advertised it as like he'd be talking to Christians, so basically General and I, but he never responded.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's He responds to me, but I mean, I don't really have a reason to talk to him. If you want Kent, though, you can have Kent.
I don't want Kent. His boat of abominations is actually pretty close to where I live, and I refuse to go to it.
Richard moderated that last one, or one of the last ones.
Wait, Richard did one with General.
Yeah, that was the one.
That was like a last minute thing. I just woken up and General was like, "Hey, you want to moderate this?" And I was like, "I guess."
And I didn't watch. I swear to you, I watched 1 minute of it and I wanted to kill myself. I skimmed through it a little bit. But did you happen to know that Kent had a discussion with Edgar?
No, I didn't.
I am not fucking with you. It was gut wrenching. Even the few minutes that I watched, I didn't watch very much. Edgar did his whole
thing. It was beautiful.
Oh, you guys are sick motherfuckers, dude. Okay, let me give you a little backstory on this. First of all, I had actually talked to his secretary on this and said, you know, this is going to be a riot. I said the reason why I never brought Edgar up to Kent is because as much as I disagree with Kent, as much as I think he's a piece of shit, I would not have done this to him. I would not have exposed him to this level of just complete dumb fuckery, right? And by the way, his secretary understands now, by the way. But yeah, it was him doing his whole spiel on intelligent design, right? His whatever take on it. And Kent just sitting there going, what the hell did I just get myself into? Kent dropped out and he's just like, Kent, are you there? Kent? Oh, he must have had computer problems. Let me explain to you something about Kent. When Kent drops out and they claim that it's computer problems, he left.
It's kind of like CNN, you know, losing signal with someone they're interviewing.
Yeah, no, Kent does this. Kent was sitting there going, this is the most dumbest fucking crap I've ever. He's like, I'll accept evolution, but I accept this shit.
What was he saying?
Oh, he's talking about, you know, biological iterations, and you know, he's explaining his test where he dropped eggs on toilet paper. I mean, it's fucking A. I know all these other guys don't understand. It's too much backstory to go into, so I really apologize. But Edgar is an ID proponent that has the most fucked up things you've ever imagined. He thinks probabilities can go higher than 1. Right? He doesn't understand, you know, how statistics and probability work. So he's talking about supernatural probability.
I think what you're looking for is unique.
The thing I love about Kent more than anything, and before I thought you said Ken and not Ken, is his drama battle with his son. I just find that hilarious.
Yeah, but I don't get into that. If you've noticed,
I just watch it. I don't comment.
I thought a lot of
just look at it.
I have never ever brought up Eric to Kent. It's not.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't, because a lot of it is unverified. It's just like stuff that we hear on YouTube, and
yeah, it is. But it's funny to watch.
But here's the thing.
But I think people are entitled to, you know, even if you're a dick, you know, leave other people's family out of it. And I agree with Steve on this first.
Yeah, definitely.
And I actually say, Steve, thank you.
Oh no, I agree with you. I agree. Leave the family alone. But here's I mean, there's certain things we're comment on because it's public, but since I had brought it to their attention that, you know, Kent shouldn't be wasting his time with Edgar. His secretary was like, well, you know, hey, I know Kent wants to do more debates, but, you know, he kind of wants to do it on his channel, and I know that. And I said, look, I understand Kent wants to do this on his channel, but here's the thing. I know a lot of people on the internet. I have a large group of people that we have a pool of. I know that most of these people will not go on to Kent's channel to discuss these with him. They'll go on mine. They'll go on General Han Solos. They'll go on people's, you know, members of the GDC, but they're not going to waste their time going on Kent's channel. And I said, he has to make the decision. Does he want good people to debate on somebody else's channel, or does he want to end up having discussions with people like Edgar, who has 92 subscribers and is probably one of the dumbest people I've ever had the displeasure of ever running into. I like Edgar personally, but he's dumb.
Is it just me? I'll say one thing for Ken. He seems willing to at least debate just about anyone. I don't think he really cares who it is. That's just my perception from what I've seen.
Yes and no. Kent lost a lot of his following, both the people that watch his stuff and the people that actually, you know, gave him credit and give him props for being a theologian and a respectable younger creationist. He lost a lot of that.
He's not a theologian.
Well, you know, 9 years in prison will do that.
Yeah, no, I mean, exactly. He lost a large chunk of that, and he's trying to build that up. And he's using my channel to help do that. I totally get that. I mean, no qualms about that whatsoever. It's a mutually beneficial relationship. But now that he started to do that, and he saw that, oh, look, man, he got 50,000 fucking hits because of the King Crocodile shit. He thinks he can go back to his channel and still have that kind of following. He's not getting it. He's not getting that kind of following. He's not getting anybody of any quality if any of any views are generated.
I know. I thought his video on bashing flat earthers was pretty amusing. I like that one.
Yeah. One thing about Edgar, since I actually wasted the time to watch the whole thing.
Oh my God, no. Are you serious?
That's kind of
do that?
Interesting. I'm here to find out how wrong human brains can go.
Okay.
Yeah, but then doesn't it eat away your
wrong
brain?
can Edgar's brain go?
Yeah, but
I just want to confirm
I'm giving him that if he's a Poe, he's the world's greatest Poe.
He is not a fucking Poe. He believes this shit.
If he's not a Poe, he's the most intellectually honest creationist I've seen yet.
Edgar?
Because at one point, like 36 minutes in, he puts up a slide and leaves that slide for 5 minutes and actually gets Hovand to read it out loud and agree with it and and talk about it. The slide says this. So he presents his biological interrelation to replace evolution and puts up a slide that says, so interrelation is unproved and unprovable. We believe it only because the only alternative is evolution, and that is unthinkable. and he leaves that slide on for 5 minutes.
You know what?
That sounds like
that's not wrong.
That's absolutely right, and that's the most sincere, honest position that I've seen a creationist take.
Oh, God.
That's perfect.
I guess
And actually, kudos for Edgar for that level of honesty.
Okay, but Edgar, you guys give him far too much credit. Yes, it's honest and it's funny as shit, but Edgar doesn't think about it that way, right?
I know.
I think he's revising a quote that I've heard. Like, it might be a fake quote, but I think I've heard something like that from an atheist who said something like, "We believe in evolution because God is the alternative," or something like that.
Yeah, that was Hovand's twist on it. Oh, I see you're reversing the atheist claim.
But I mean, I love that because evolution can't be true. I'm gonna accept this what the fuck theory. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's good.
But it's the unprovable that I love.
It's definitely unprovable. I will give him that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's but that's right up there with like something like true empiricism saying, well, we have no evidence that beaks evolved ATP synthase. Well, no shit, we don't. It's true. It's absolutely true. But so what?
That can pass as just misspeaking.
No,
it's a stupid thing to say, but
bullshit. Here's the thing: when people speak, they correct themselves. When they call out about it, they're like, "Yeah, I fucked up. That's not what I meant." Ronnie doesn't.
Nobody's ringing.
Sorry.
Are you in Vegas?
No, that was my phone. I forgot to put it on silent.
Yeah, he didn't misspeak that. He actually doubled down on that, like he always does.
Yeah, did you just like gambling or something? That's a cool ringtone.
Kind of does sound like that.
It's actually just the default. It's the default ringtone on a Sony Xperia Z because I'm too lazy to change the ringtones on phones nowadays.
Yeah.
But guys, I got to wrap this up in a little bit here. But real quick, Richard, when we do have this debate, I still want you to kind of mod if you can.
Wait, I thought we had it.
Oh no, Nephi backed out.
Oh, okay.
You have to watch the first 10 minutes of this video after it uploads. That's all you need to know.
Okay.
10 minutes, but it's worth watching because Nephi he didn't apologize, but he did say he'd take the videos down, and I was like, no, you can leave them up, but he didn't apologize about the one thing that he should have, which was like Steve Brown had said, Steve, did Steve ever tell, or he said, Nephi, did Steve ever tell you the names of the people that the other guy that you wants you to debate other than Ruhif? And Nephi says, he didn't tell me. And I have the first fucking thing I have in Skype was me telling him, I have Ruhif and Alex Rubenstahl that want to debate you. And he said, well, I don't know much about him or something. Can you forward his YouTube channel? I said, well, I have his Facebook channel. He said, that's fine. I gave him his Facebook. and he's just telling C. Brown, I don't know who it was, and C. Brown goes, oh, that's typical of something or other, because Steve, was trying to sandbag you, and I'm like, holy fuck, man.
Mm-hmm.
I think I can do it on Saturday. On Saturday, I'll be free most of the day.
Well, no,
I
I
had
have
some
some day where he's off, so it's gonna be a few, but whatever.
Okay.
If you won't
I
be
had
there,
s-
I'll be in there and I'll behave. I'll promise.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
If it's as long as it's not on Saturday.
I have hangouts 3 days
if
a
it
week.
is, good luck.
Yeah, no, I have hangouts 3 days a week, and then the debates. Hugh Ross will be here on the 26th.
Okay.
That's obviously going to be limited people that are going to be in there. Hopefully, people that are coming in have read the book, Improbable Planet, because that's what we're going to be talking about. That's 9:30 on the 26th. I've got Zoe Does Life coming in next month. We know who she is. Let's see what else we got going on. Jerry Bergman, hopefully next month. You guys know who he is?
I don't know who he is.
He's another younger creationist scientist.
Okay.
And there's somebody else that I'm bringing in.
Oh, it's our friend D's Nuts 42069. He's a great scholar, and he'll be on the show.
I like bringing in D's Nuts. I'll bring these nuts in. Can D's Nuts write another epic reading?
Not that I know of.
Too bad. But anyways, I'll get Marcus. I'm gonna get back with you on the links. Some of the like a couple of videos that I'll have you watch on my channel, because you wanted to see some of the my own content, which is pretty cheesy. And when I do have
definitely send me some links.
We'll have this link. We'll have this weekend, maybe, if we can. What is it today? Wednesday or Tuesday? Thursday? What is it? Thursday?
Today's Thursday. Yeah.
Today's Thursday.
Yeah, let's try.
The week has gone fast.
What's that?
So the week has gone fast.
Yeah. There's been a lot going on. So let's plan on that. Maybe with Apologies Free, but we'll have. I'll get in touch with some other people I know, and maybe like Goddess Cranium said he's going to host something like this on his channel for us.
That'd be cool. My next few weekends are booked, and I'm going to probably miss it all. But I'll watch it all once you are done with it. I wish I could. Yeah, my land up north, I'm having a cabin dropped off and stuff, so I got to be up there for all that, and I don't get any signal up there.
Fact, I know, but it's nice when people can join real time, but it is.
I know.
So.
Well, thanks for letting me on, Steve. I'm going to go. My battery's actually about
to
die.
I'm just in a few minutes, about another minute here. No, thanks for dropping in. Please, by all means, people drop in anytime. I know this is probably not a hangout that a lot of people wanted to come into. That's why I wasn't really pushing for people to come in. It was basically supposed to be just Ruf and I talking about it, and I was like, screw it, I'll open it up. But we usually have obviously 10 people in here every time. So, okay, guys. So I'm going to give somebody the last word, because I just picked somebody at random. And it's not going to be Barney, because I know what Barney's going to say. Please don't forget to please like and subscribe, and to click the bell for the notification. But you know what? I'll give it to Marcus. Marcus, give us the last word. And
well, I just want to personally thank you for letting me on. I think it's the first time I've ever been on your streams. I know I've been on a couple other streams, but I mostly do private streams. But it has been great being on, and I look forward to our next combo.
Well, there you go. Thank you, guys. Thanks for all the watching. Thanks for all the views. Thanks for all everybody's support. Keep watching the Great Debate community, and keep bringing people in. If you know some people out there that you think will be great to have conversations with, whether they're just they're nobody off the street, or somebody who's popular YouTuber, doesn't matter. Bring them in. Get them in here and let's have conversations. So thank you, guys. And I'm going to be probably having a hangout tomorrow, but it won't be very long, and I'll tell you about it later. Okay. So